The topic for tonight. Recently, U.S. Representative Paul Gosar tweeted out an edited anime clip that featured him defending the U.S. Capitol from invading hordes. This included an image of him slaying Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The backlash, U.S. Representative Cortez, the backlash to this was swift. House Democratic leadership was outraged and demanded an apology, but he refused. Gosar was then officially censored by the House and stripped of his valuable committee assignments. Was this fair? Was this video actually a death threat? Or was this a simple freedom of speech issue? Do you think liberals would hold the same standard, one of their own? Where is the line between free speech, parody, and threat? So, yeah, this is something that I'm sure you're all familiar with. There's the stupid clip from Attack on Titan, which is actually a great show, but like some idiots fucking edited it, and I believe it featured like the U.S. Capitol in the back, and then like invading hordes, and it's quite violent because the show is violent, and people took that very seriously, and so the censure happened, and then after that. Gosar retweeted, so he got censored, right? Which involves him like being on the floor of a house while they said he does naughty things, right? And then stripping him. Then after that, after this whole ceremony happens, he goes back out and retweets this thing that he had previously deleted. So yeah, do you think he should be allowed to do this? No one was actually hurt, or do you think this was an actual threat and we need to be having some sort of bright line that people just don't get to cross? All right, opening statements, we'll go with Mad Latin first.
Sure. So whether something like this is okay depends on a variety of features. Like, yeah, we have free speech in this country, which is good, but there's like this idea that there's free speech with responsibility. That is, if someone is doing something that's irresponsible with their speech, it's bad and can be, there can be consequences for it, depending on the circumstances. Demonstrating, being a public figure and suggesting that your political rivals are folks to be slain in the current environment that we have is quite dangerous. So yeah, no, I think he should be censored, and I think he should be like restrained in every possible way, because we are currently in a very dangerous time in our history. And yeah, I totally can see a future where, someone says, hey, I'm having a real big problem with this, and then some madman going ahead and proceeding to resolve that problem for him. So yeah, I think he should be censored.
Thank you. Problematic Pan.
Yeah, so I think censoring Gosar on the grounds that this video constitutes a death threat to AOC is ridiculous. The part of the video was obviously symbolic. It represented Gosar defeating AOC. It was clearly not a call of violence to AOC, let alone death threat. However, the video's depiction of immigrants and refugees as invaders that had to be expelled and dealt with was like straight up fascist propaganda. And it was pretty disgusting. So he should absolutely be censored for this video, but not for the reason the Democrats censored him. It's actually mind-boggling to me that in a video that was like 90% fascist propaganda about immigrants and 10% harmless meme about attacking the left, Democrats censored him for the 10% of the video that was harmless. So I think he should have been censored, not for the reasons, it was not a death threat or anything like that, but the video was pretty bad.
Okay. Lorenzo.
Do I think that it's fair that he got censored? Yes. Do I think it's a death threat? No. Like Pan, I have a problem, however, with how he represented the immigrants, even though they were illegal immigrants, but the fact that he described them as an invasion force and stuff like that is probably bad. I do believe that our elected officials should be held to a higher standard than normal people. That's why I feel like the freedom of speech applies to them differently. And maybe he should even be expelled for this.
Okay. DB.
I semi-agree with Pan and Lorenzo, actually. I would say the video went a little too far, right? But the only thing I have an issue with isn't him depicting immigrants as an invading army, led by these like titans, right? AOC and Biden. It's just the scene where he actually like, or the Attack on Titan character actually like slices into the Titan's neck. I think if that was not included, right, I'd be totally fine with the video. I think that part went too far, but the rest of the thing is pretty clearly a symbolic statement about him fighting off Biden and AOC as they're trying to push prop policies that are going to bring illegal immigrants into the United States and yada yada. And it seems pretty typical conservative Republican shit. So, yeah, I think it went a little bit too far. I think him getting censured for it is fair because I think it did go too far. But you know, that's about it.
Tyberius.
Geez, I hate that I agree with Doobie. The only part in that I don't agree with is that I think the censure was a little too far. Now, hear me out. If Democrats had actually come with this kind of fervor on Build Back Better, you'd have Build Back Better, and you wouldn't have to worrying about these guys doing this shit. But in the long scheme of things, do I think this is a death threat? No, come on. This is just boomers being dumbass boomers. If you're gonna promo an anime opening, you gotta promo the Bernie Sanders one from last year, because while I hate Bernie Sanders, that was amazing. Please promo that. So in a general sense, people need to stop being butthurt. The Republican candidate here, or I'm sorry, the Republican representative probably should have took a knee and be like, hey, look, I'm not trying to go with that well. That's not where I'm going. You know, he should have backed off a little bit. And of course, he's not going to. The Democrats, I do believe, over-escalated with this, and it's just not helping in any way, shape, or form. I'm not prepared to deal with the fascist propaganda. I didn't really think about it in that lens, so I'll have to rewatch it. But is it a death threat? Yeah, no.
I mean, so death threat doesn't necessarily mean, hey, I'm going to kill you. Death threat can also mean like, hey, followers, I think I am really excited about this person having their throat slit, right? Like it's not like if you have power, if you have a position of power and you can reach a group of folks that you can influence and you can say, wow, wouldn't it be great if this happened? That's effectively a death threat.
Okay, well, wait. Okay,
Like,
so no. So there's a level where I can 100% get with you. Like holding people with power to a higher standard, we agree. Let's go with that. But on the other side of this is that if you're implying that this is just like, hey, I would love for this person to die. Come on, dude. Like literally, we watched
saying that he's expecting someone to go out and take out AOC over this video. I think he's trying to build enthusiasm for the thought of AOC dying, which is still like...
No, he's trying to build enthusiasm for the fact that he's going to defeat AOC. AOC's like... I don't think he's targeting AOC. AOC is like the representation of the left, right? Like, so it's basically he's trying to put out there that I'm out here attacking the left. I don't think it had to be AOC. It could have just as easily been Nancy Pelosi. It could have easily have been someone else. I mean, if you're gonna do the Attack on Titan thing, I mean, that is a scene in the intro song, right? Like that's part of the title credits.
I mean, you could have done an anime that didn't, like, you know, have AOC dying and, like, you know.
Well, right, but the reason he chose that, reason he chose that anime is because of the invading hordes that attack it. He was attacking immigrants. Attacking immigrants was the main part of the video. The part where he attacked AOC hadn't. That's just coincidence, you know.
I mean, they put it in there. They could have cut that out, right? Like they didn't.
It's part of the intro.
They literally, and not just that. They even put her face like on the Titan. They could have literally put anything on the face of the Titan, and they chose AOC. So no, this isn't incidental. They intentionally put AOC's face on that Titan, and they proceeded to have someone slit that Titan's throat, kill it. Right?
All right, so let me just peg at you for a second here because I want to like litmus test you a little bit. Was there anyone's face that they could have put on there that you would have been okay, or is it the fact that scene was there at all is the problem?
I would have removed the scene altogether because that's like that's treading on this sort of territory, right?
Okay,
like,
on that we agree.
Right, like you can't, and like the thing is, like, it'd be like having a campaign ad, right? Or like, you know, just imagine someone with a machine gun putting like the faces of like their political opponents on beer bottles and then shooting the beer bottles, right? Like that would be pretty offensive, right? Like it's something in that sort of vein, but less direct. And I'm saying like, where should the line be drawn? There shouldn't be any sort of media that portrays the death of a politician. That's just bad. That's
okay. So my chat's fucking blowing up. I mean, I usually never bring chat into a conversation, but I have to ask this because they're going off on it.
Sure.
Do you guys feel the same way at all when it came to Kathy Griffin decapitating the Trump head?
Yeah, that was really bad. She shouldn't have done that. like she deserved every like consequence and circumstance that was related to doing that. That was bad.
Okay, so the only difference for me is that she wasn't a federal representative. She's a comedian. So there's like a lower standard to give her, but if we agree on that, I'm cool with you.
I mean, yeah, no, fuck it. Like, that's like, you literally have the president's head in your hand. Like, that's bad.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's much more like direct that the Kathy Griffin with Trump's head. I mean, when we're talking about, you know, AOC's face on a giant, well, he wasn't killing AOC. He was killing the giant person, right? Like, it just... Well, I mean, yeah, it's basically like, yeah, I'm gonna defeat the giants. Like, honestly, I haven't really watched the anime, so I didn't know that it was a death blow. It doesn't look like a death blow. It just looks like they're getting hit in the head. Would you have a problem with if it was AOC getting punched in the head by him or something, or not AOC, but the giant or something? Like, what is it? Just because apparently it's how you kill the Titan that you guys have a problem with this, or is it like the violence in general?
It's violence being directed towards like politicians. Like, we live in a country right now where people are really, really heated, and they seem to be interested in taking guns out for you know, strolls when they're getting involved in their local politics and stuff. And yeah, directing violence towards other politicians is bad, especially when people are pissed off and have the weaponry necessary to you know, cause violence against those politicians.
Yeah.
Luckily, I don't think anyone has those like swinging sword thingy things that they have in the show.
God, you're so lame, Pan.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I'm sorry. What are they called? Prime. What are they called? I apologize.
They're swingy sword thingy things.
Yeah, that's you nailed it, buddy.
I mean, like, we've already had this too, right? Like the Democratic, there's like the Democrat who like tried to take out the Republican Congress people who were playing softball. Like, what was it, like 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, literally, there's acts of actual violence being conducted against members of Congress and members of government. And
yeah, but that had nothing to do with like some sort. That was not at all provoked by like one of the like congressional members on the other side, right? That was not provoked by propaganda or stuff like that. That was.
So imagine.
I mean, it might have been
Republicans do that.
Let's
get Doobie in.
Again, like, we went through like years of Democrats and that Trump was a fascist who's going to take over the country and we're going to have a military takeover and yada yada yada, right? So this kind of rhetoric comes from both sides. What this actually reminded me of was it's like another example of where a politician crossed the line in my, well, I think in everybody's opinion, is I think it was Sarah Palin who years ago put out like a map of the country with a target list for politicians that they wanted to like get out of office, but they actually used like gun sites on the map, right, with the names of the politicians. It looked really fucking bad, right? Like, it was like, oh, here's a solution, right? Like and it had gun sites over the states these politicians were in. Fucking awful, right? So I think shit like that, way over the line, right? But in this video specifically, I think I don't really have an issue with the imagery of, you know, this old dude running around fighting off the hordes and all this kind of shit. My issue is when is specifically the scene where he like cuts the neck and like blood comes out and shit like that. That's my issue. Like the general sentiment seems fine. He's fighting against the oppressors and yada yada, right? It's similar stuff to like Trump. He's going to drain the swamp and he's going to fight off all the bureaucrats, all this kind of shit. Similar kind of stuff. I just think when you cross the line into like actual like violence shown on screen, there's an issue there for me.
So like the couple specks of blood is what makes it like unacceptable violence. Like if it shows some blood, then that's kind of like where you draw the line. Or
yeah, I think
general, like if someone did a video of like, I don't know, just like
if a
someone
politician
getting like in the face or something, that's probably bad.
Yeah, if a politician put out a video of them bashing like a Trump statue in the head with a hammer or something, I'd have an issue with that.
Why?
I think, like, the only exception I have, okay, there's one anime exception I'm going to list here, and everybody's going to call me a hypocrite for it. Right after Trump lost the election, there was like this Dragon Ball Z one where like Donald Trump was like Cell, right? And then all the Z fighters were like different like vote counts from like Arizona and Georgia and stuff, and it was like actually kind of hilarious. So like, I think like fantasy, like if it's like a Kamehameha wave, that type of thing, I'm less inclined to consider that like actual violence. But like if it's like something that can be done by a person, that would be like bad. It's like where I
Wait, and to be clear, like
split
this,
hairs.
even this specific meme, right? This video being posted by somebody else. I don't really care. I think what's coming from the politicians themselves, there's a problem because they have an audience. They have people that look up to them, people that follow them. They have like their fan bases and shit. I think like people on Twitch, they have a platform. They're responsible for what comes out of that platform. Right? So it's if this was just posted by someone on TYT or something, I think it'd still be problematic, but far less problematic than this, obviously.
Yeah. So like this, like diminishing of the seriousness of this, right? Like, I think, like, let's understand that when it comes to the targets of the Republicans, of the big bad Republican men, right? So tough, so fucking alpha, right? Like again and again, who do they target? They target women of color. They target Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They target Ilhan Omar. That's another favorite of them, right? That's the one who like to beat up. It's not just the Donald Trump did it as well, right? Targeting specifically women of color. That's the ones they cannot motherfucking stand, right? The ones that open their fucking mouth. That's the ones they have a problem with. Again and again, we see this, right? So it's not like it's not a accident that AOC ended up here. They can't fuck the Republican Party cannot stand her, and it's not just because of her policies, right? Like we can be honest about that. It's not just because of her policies.
I think it's like the general rhetoric around those two people. Like when Ilhan Omar said like some people did something about like 9/11, her failure to like denounce Al Qaeda and shit like that, and also like AOC's rhetoric. They're like the people like furthest to the left. I don't think it's because
Are
they? Who's further to the left in the squad?
Yeah, exactly.
Katie Porter, I believe, at least. And then I feel there's definitely others. Like I remember looking at a chart, and like they're pretty far left, but like they're recognizable left.
With a rhetoric?
They're distinguished left, right? Like they stand out in a very specific manner. And I mean, like, yeah, I think the color thing actually has a lot to do with it. Like, why was it so easy for the right wing to attack Obama, for example? It's like ties into that as well. Like they really there is like this thing where, if someone stands out in a very specific way, you'll find a lot of propaganda sort of. Now it's indirect, right? They're not going to say, oh yes, this person is a person of color, we're going to be really mean. It's going to be more along the lines of, hey, let's try to find like some like vague stereotypes that we can like loosely attach, so it looks like we're being very kosher. And
Obama was a Democratic president.
Obama
was a Democratic president. Of course they're going to make memes and propaganda.
Yeah, but they were
right now.
I want to address this real quick.
I literally had a Google.
Which is why, by the way, that there's birth certificate issues with Joe Biden, right?
Go ahead.
I mean, they would definitely only would do that for Democratic presidents.
Tiberius.
All right. Yeah, to what Prime said, actually, because there's a point where I think there's some reality in there that there's definitely some sexist people in the Republican Party. There's definitely some racist people in the Republican Party. I'm never going to say that's not the case. Well, on the other side of that, I'm actually going to shout out to the women of the Democratic Party. Most of your leaders are women, and most of your leaders are women of color. This is not something that I would openly be like, oh, they're just attacking these poor defenseless women. Your women are in charge. Your women are leading the pack. Now, I'm not saying that they have all the political power, but I actually think that this validates their standing in a way, is that they see them as a threat, that they are powerful, that they are capable, and they are competent. Now, we can talk about Joe Manchin or Biden and all the other shit, but your women are your next generational leaders. And they're
especially in the House. I think this is such a good point by Tiberius. I mean, if you look in the House, like the most outspoken members, AOC, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, she's a female. Like, yeah, there are a lot of outspoken female Democrat members in the House of Representatives. And that's not a bad thing. But of course, like, you attack the leaders of the other party. And although AOC, isn't a technical leader, she is like kind of a thought leader in that she's probably one of the most popular representatives of the House, the most well-known representatives.
And who is she well known about? Who's she so well known too, right? Like AOC has greater name recognition among Republicans than she does Democrats. That's because Republicans are the ones fucking obsessed with her. Like they've been, and it's not just like at the top, right? This hatred, it very much filters down to the bottom. We've seen again and again images on her own social media of her being assaulted, being raped, right? Being beaten, being humiliated, specifically of AOC. Right? Wonder why. And like among our fucking law enforcement, we've seen that, like, and it was like that Facebook group with like the ICE agents, I believe it was, or Border Patrol, one or the other, right? They're both fascists and should be eliminated. But still, it was a group of them who were threatening her, right? Who are releasing these memes, right? Or you'll see them like pass messages back and forth. This is a continued pattern, right? And it's against women of color. And to say that, well, okay, well, Obama was the president, and so of course you'll have this against Obama. We do not see this against Biden. We don't see the same level of vitriol. Now they don't like him. Now see they're fans of Biden, but the same level of vitriol is simply not there. They cannot stand women of color. And Donald Trump was the fucking king of this shit, right? Like that was the one. That was the thing that got under his skin the most. There was the representative. There's two representatives this happened with. There was one, the one from California, who, God damn it, what's her name? She's the head of
Waters.
Maxine Waters. There was her, who he couldn't stand, and he would like freak out over. And there was another one. She's a African American woman, and she likes to wear like cowboy hats, you know, like those like pink sprite. I think she was like from Georgia or something, and I'm almost certain she was from Georgia, and she was involved. If I'm remembering the incident correctly, and this was many years ago, so if I'm getting any of the details wrong, I apologize. But there had been a death of a Black individual, and that representative was comforting her, like the family members, right? Like from like police violence, if I'm remembering this correctly. And then Trump called the family member, right, to offer some bullshit condolence, and then she called him out on it. The representative called him out on it, and then he freaked out on this woman, right? He can't.
Frederica Wilson.
That might be the one. Yeah, but he has a pattern again and again and again when it comes to women of color, right? And his base fucking picks up on that.
I mean, I don't think anyone here is trying to argue that there are no racist or sexist attacks against women of color in Congress, right? It's pretty obvious to see.
And
you just open their Twitter feed, right?
I'm saying this is one.
Well, I don't think just because there are sexist and racist attacks on women of color like AOC doesn't mean there aren't other attacks on AOC that are purely because of her politics. Yeah, it's true there are a lot of racist attacks, but when you take a look, she's also attacked by a lot of people for very partisan reasons.
I mean, if someone is getting censored, right, for their attack on AOC and or the propaganda they pushed, is it worth actually evaluating whether they're doing it against AOC because she's a person of color or not? Like, I think it's fine to, on this case, assume the worst, because I mean they're being censored anyway. It's not like it matters, right?
It totally matters what we censor them for. It's like we're admonishing them.
No, we're censoring them. We're censoring them. So we're censoring them for, like, you know, their the death threat, right? But like we can't actually infer one way or the other what the reasoning is behind wanting this person like dead, right? So like I guess maybe what I should say is that we don't necessarily need to assume the worst, but like you can't blame someone for assuming the worst in this scenario.
I want to ask Prime a question real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So there are many women of color in this country, right? Like many millions. So do Republicans do Republicans know the name Stacey Abrams because she's a woman of color, or because she kicked so much fucking ass in Georgia that she's probably one of the primary reasons it flipped blue?
I think now she's known for that. I think before she was known for having that type. Oh, okay, go ahead.
I say they pick their targets. I'm saying there's other individuals who are notable within the Democratic Party for various reasons, right? But they're targets of violence, of depictions of violence, right? When it's just a joke, when it's just a fucking meme, right? There's a pattern as to who they specifically pick. And they love attacking women of color, right? Because of disgusting racism within the Republican Party. That's what I'm saying.
No, I get what you're saying, and I'm trying to litmus test it out, because I'm not denying that there's definitely some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not gonna remotely act like it's not the case. I'm just trying to figure out where you draw the line, where I'm drawing the line, and like how far we're off. Because there's definitely, there's part where that's absolutely true. And so, like, all right, cool. How many horrible shit did the Republicans say and depict of Hillary? You know, not a woman of color, but still a woman, right? Bad, absolutely, right? So, I guess I have to address this with you because you made a point. Why is it that we see so much less of this of Biden, or we don't see much of Joe Manchin? When it comes to Joe Manchin, I would probably argue that they see him as like doing our side's work.
It's an ally.
Yeah, like ally, unironically. So yeah, like I can see where that is. And then as far as Biden, it's just I don't think Republicans respect Biden.
Or violence against Chuck Schumer, or violence against I don't know. Like
okay, I've seen some nasty shit on Schumer, so
yeah,
that's a different one for me. Like Nancy and Schumer are usually like together in most of the memes that I've seen, and they want them dead as hell. Republicans hate Schumer.
I mean, I think you could like kind of look at it as like who's being lampooned and targeted for a specific period of time, and then like kind of evaluate why, right? So like Pelosi and Schumer were both like the respective heads of
the Senate House,
like right. So like because they were in charge of Congress effectively, from 2018 on, they were basically shat on by right-wing media. Absolutely, right? But like AOC winning her district in New York and like becoming a national target for that, like being like, you know, a junior member
Green
of
New
Congress.
Deal? Anything else?
I mean,
the only thing
but
she's
like
done is
how, I mean, like she wasn't important until the right-wing made her important. That's like the point, right? Like that
is absolutely not true. From the left and from the right, these people that are getting constantly attacked from the right are also the biggest people on the left. 100%.
I mean, they become the biggest people on the left, and I mean, I'm not saying that like.
Do you think
AOC I'm not saying that AOC isn't important now. I'm just saying when she initially got elected, her importance was like, hey, I'm a up and coming congresswoman who defeated the incumbent, and it was shocking, right? Like there's like that, like, you know, blip on the news cycle, and then it kind of carried, especially as right-wing media pushed against her.
Do you not think all media supported the narrative of the rising congresswoman? Because I saw a lot of, like, I'm not, you know, going to disagree that the media had a big role in, you know, helping, like, obviously before she was nominated, I don't know of how much, you know, recognition she was, but that story got a huge amount of attention, both positive and negative. Like positive from, like, you know, a lot of mainstream media sources. I think probably negative from Fox, although I don't really watch them. But like, I think there was a bunch of media attention. Like, I don't think you can ascribe her ascent to like stardom all to the right. I think that she was seen by, you know, her own side as a rising star as well. I don't think she was made a threat by the right. I think that, I mean, all people recognize that she was a rising star.
I'm going to back up that point to some degree, because while I do agree with Mad Lad to some degree that there has been, this is not the correct word for it, but in spirit, it's gaslighting, where they're just throwing gas on the fire to make her stardom even bigger, and that's on the right, is that absolutely the progressives were beating that drum when it came to AOC. She's a bartender, like she was like 31 when she got elected, came out of nowhere, and is a sitting member of Congress. Like, that is not only the American dream, but it's a woman of color in New York's 14th district, like defeated an incumbent of over 10 years. Like, that is an absolute win for a progressive. Absolutely, yeah. They're going to promo that shit.
But there's been a lot of things like that happening in this country, right? Like, but I couldn't actually tell you the names of the individuals who've also been able to beat the, like, incumbents are losing all over the place in all sorts of races, right? And like their names aren't standing out. AOC is standing out.
Do you not think there was something unique about her beating Crawley in that election?
Let me get back to you on it, because I don't want to like just go off the cuff. I'm like looking at a few articles here to like double check my work, because it's been a while. So yeah, I understand. So I want to double check. I don't want to say anything that's going to be stupid. So get back to me.
Why do you think?
Yeah,
Why do you
he was not
think
just a regular incumbent, right? Wasn't he like one of the top Democrats in the House of Representatives? Like, I don't know if I can't remember exactly, but he was pretty close in line for the speakership.
Why do you think the? Do you think the right's attacking? Okay, why do you think the right's attacking her? Because of her race. Why can't the right be attacking her because she's the biggest
Because they
member
started off
of the?
four.
Relax, dog. Relax. It's okay. Member of the House on the left because the left care about her being like a woman and a minority, and that's why they've pushed her up. Why can't it be that? I'm not saying it's that, but why can't it be that?
So why can't it be that the left is promoting women and people of color into these roles, and thus the right is attacking the people of color and women? Is that your point?
No, the right's attacking them because they're at the top.
So the right's
that's not
attacking to the
and-
top, the left is platforming them. So you're saying
Yeah.
that the left trying to give minorities more power in this country is self-sabotage because the right's just going to attack them? Is that
That's not what I'm
What-
saying. I'm saying why do you pick why do you pick the first narrative and not the second one?
Because
I assume you have as much evidence to back both of those up, right?
not quite though, because so because the left is pushing a group of candidates, right, doesn't mean that that group of candidates deserve to be attacked specifically and particularly, is like kind of the point. So like
Why?
when you think about like that election cycle, it wasn't even AOC by herself. Like, she's grown to stand out, but like it was like the squad, right? Like it was like the 4 women of color that was elected to Congress in 2018, and that was like the focus and the focal point for quite a while there. And the question is like, why is the right wing focusing on the squad and saying, oh hey, these people are bad?
Yeah,
That makes
so the right could be focusing on the squad because they're the biggest members of the House on the left. Or
Biggest?
are
They're junior members with the least amount of power.
Oh, please.
Yeah,
Yeah, just because
so-
they're
wait,
junior members, they're still...
oh my
Okay, sorry,
God,
sorry.
holy shit.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the-
Tyberius. I
Or-
apologize.
When I mean
Lorenzo,
they're at the
please.
top, when I mean they're at the top, I don't mean by political power, I mean by rhetoric.
Okay.
They're at the top vocally, so most people are like listening to them and shit like that. They might not have the top a role, but most people are paying attention to them. Why couldn't they have achieved that position? Because of the left, putting them there, because they're, you know, women and people of color, and that's why the right is attacking them. Why do you think the right's attacking them on their on the fact that they're like minorities? Like, I don't get that. Because it isn't like the most like politically effective thing to attack the people at the top. Why would the right
It's
be attacking
Are
not
people?
they
just that
attacking
they're-
Bernie Sanders in the same way? Are they attacking like Katie Porter in the same way? Are they attacking
Who the fuck? I had to Google Katie Porter. I have no fucking idea who Katie Porter
I'm sorry,
is.
you're not informed, but like Katie Porter is actually really pretty big on the left. She's been crushing it. She
how long have you
makes
been paying
news
attention to
all the
politics?
time. I'm sorry if you don't know, but yeah, she actually is quite famous on the left. And she is famous in the way that in the same way that AOC has becoming famous, and Elizabeth Warren also made a splash, right? Like, she has made a name for herself for her interviews, like within like the House. And Kamala Harris is the same thing, right? In her interviews within the House, where she like takes like executives to task for their bullshit, like head of banks or whatever it is, right? Oil executives, whatever it might be, right? And she does it in a spectacular fashion. This woman, I don't know, like, you don't know her. That's not my fault that you don't know her, but like, this
Is
is
Katie
a person.
Porter the whiteboard woman?
Whiteboard woman.
The one that always uses whiteboards,
I don't know. She always uses
or
whiteboards.
or visual aids and shit like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, she uses visual aids, but I'm not sure if
Okay.
she uses whiteboards.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so yeah, I don't know her by name, but
So I mean, like, I think that, I mean, you can propose a bunch of like hypotheses, right? Like, we have no way of actually confirming one way or the other what is the reason behind X, Y, or Z. The only thing we can actually do is infer based on previous, like, you know, attacks, and based on like precedent, what the angle is and why they're focusing on X individual or Y individual. AOC is hardly the most I mean, okay, I shouldn't say hardly, she's very close to the top. In the recent report card, she's like, you know, the 7th most leftist congresswoman, right? So she's up there. I'll grant that, absolutely. But I wouldn't say that just that alone is why she's being targeted.
And this
so
is
hard.
and again, there is a pattern, right? Let's not fucking forget this. Like, well, you say, well, yeah, I mean, of course. Well, AOC, she's the she's a quote unquote thought leader, even though when she literally was first elected, the attacks began. When she first showed up, the attacks began. Before she had literally accomplished a fucking thing, the attacks began.
Not about accomplishment.
Okay,
though.
great. But and on top, okay, and beyond that, right? There's the way they treated Michelle Obama. The vicious racist attacks of sexual violence against Michelle Obama, right? And then of course the kids too. Let's not forget that. That was this is not new, right? All I'm saying is not new, right? Why Michelle Obama? What did she do? She asked for kids to have healthy lunches in school. That was her cardinal sin, and the right never fucking forgave her because she was a woman of color and she opened her mouth. She had an opinion, and that was a fucking problem.
I'd love to see if people were polled, how many people would guess what state AOC represents and what state Porter represents, or who Porter is. I'd love to know.
Again, I don't know why you focus on this fucking Porter thing. Like, it literally doesn't matter.
Because
Again,
it
the
does
pattern
matter,
and the
right?
targets, right? The pattern and the targets is what matters. Like, who are they attacking? Again, who is the focus of the most vicious attacks, right?
They're
The
attacking the people who get the most clout.
the sexualized attacks, the violent attacks, and you can attack AOC on her stances, right? Like, it's fine if they disagree. That's okay. It's fine if you disagree vehemently. It's fine if you make memes about, like, oh, how dumb these people are, you know, because it is what it is. Like, they're
I think
no. It's fine. There's all kinds of rhetoric that you could use. The violent rhetoric, right? The most violent rhetoric, the most sexualized rhetoric, is once again used for women of color, over and over again. That's the problem.
Were you about to say nefarious? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, nefarious.
Just because someone uses like a racist insult to you doesn't actually necessarily mean they're racist. They can just see like it's a trait that you have, and they're just pointing it out.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh God,
That's
damn it.
one embarrassing argument. Oh, wow. No. I am going to, you're going to start using slurs around here. And no, I'm not racist. No.
No,
Like,
wait.
It means nothing about my character. I mean, it says nothing about a person's character to use racist or sexist insults specifically, to reach for that first, right? It says nothing. No. I mean, they just saw a random characteristic about you and they pulled it out of a hat. Yeah, I'm going to use the N-word just by random. It could have been anything else, but I think I'll just use the N-word. Oh, what a fucking embarrassing argument. Wow.
So I want to
wasn't
say
referring to using racial slurs. I was referring to insulting someone on an immutable characteristic. So like,
Same
or
thing.
even like a non-immutable characteristic. Just because I call someone fat because I disagree with their argument doesn't necessarily mean I'm fat phobic, right? Or I can call someone short because I know they're like insecure about that thing, but I might not like care about someone's height. I'm just using that insult because I know it'll get to you. So if I use like a racist insult, I know racist insult will get to you. I might not be racist. I don't care. I just know you're not insecure about that, but it'll affect you more than anything else.
So
It's not that you're.
So
Go ahead.
Matt Latin here is of Middle Eastern and African American descent. Middle Eastern, right? You're in yeah, sure. If you called him well, you can imagine the term, right? We're not gonna have to name it, but like if you, I'm not gonna say it.
Oh, those close.
I actually don't know the term, Prime. Would you elaborate?
Anyway, but if you reach for that, right? Right now, you did that on stream, right? What are we to think of you, right? Are we to think, oh wow, yeah, I guess he's just gotten heated, right? Or are we to draw other inferences about your character for doing that?
Well,
I mean,
you
probably
can
both.
draw inferences about my character, but like, how would you know, right?
How would
It's like,
you
okay,
know?
let's say
This is the
let's
most
say-
idiotic argument. Sorry, go ahead, Lorenzo, please.
if I call someone the R slur, does that mean I'm ableist? Like just inherently?
Probably.
You might be.
I might be. It doesn't mean I am, right?
So let's think about it like this.
But you probably call everyone the R word. You probably only call a specific set of people the N word. I don't think you like.
I mean, that doesn't even matter. Like, let's just talk. Okay.
I mean, hopefully, you don't call anyone that.
I'm not talking about saying
the
the
same
N-word.
because Problematic Pan did it best. These aren't the same. To pretend like saying the F word, fat, right? It's the same, right? Putting that on the same pedestal as the N word or any other, just making fun of an immutable characteristic, right? Like that, like to assume these things are even, right? And yeah, I could have just picked one or the other. No, that's not the same, right? You understand, right? Because you're a human born in this nation, right? I'm assuming you're from the States, but you're a human born in this nation, and you understand the general cultural context. You know that one is not the same as the other. You get that, right? I hope you get that.
Mm-hmm. So I wasn't saying the R slur is the same as the N word, and I don't think it's necessarily like you can say the N word without being like you can call like a black person the N word without being racist. That's not what I'm saying.
No, that sounds like exactly what you're saying.
I did clarify this.
So the types of words that you use is an indicator of what you think is okay and what you think is insensitive, right? So if you're not sensitive to people who are overweight, hold on, chill. So, for example, if you see someone who's overweight and you lack the sensitivity for the fact that they're overweight and might be sensitive about it, you just don't give a shit, and you want to call them overweight, then you are proceeding to be insensitive about that specific aspect of the person. So you just don't give a shit. You can't necessarily relate to them, right? Cool.
Yeah, because
so your willingness, but see, the thing is, your willingness to go there means that you don't give a shit about relating to that person when it comes to that specific aspect. So when someone says something that's racist, it means that you aren't relating to that person and trying to empathize with the person for that immutable characteristic that they have, and you want to call them out on that specifically because you can. You don't care about the emotional state that you'll be putting them in when you use that term.
Well, yeah, that's why you insult people.
That is, right?
That's why you insult people.
I specifically care how that person would feel. That's why I use that specific insult. It's actually because I have a lot of empathy and I know what'll hurt that person, so I know what to call them.
Okay, right. But it doesn't bother you to do it.
In the heat of the moment, it might. I kind of see what he's saying. In the heat of the moment, like if you're trying to find, like if you're so angry at someone that you want to say the thing that you know will offend them the most, and you think the worst thing possible, I think what he's saying is that people look for the worst possible insult if they're angry enough. Now, I'm not defending this because I do think there's, the counterbalancing force that even if you're super mad, the social pressure not to say, that is probably for most people hopefully going to be stronger than the urge to insult them with the most vitriolic thing that you can think of. So I think there's a counteracting force, but I kind of see what he's saying.
Right, but your willingness to go there. So your willingness to go there is an indicator.
I'm not.
About how I know, but like someone's willingness to go there is an indicator about how much they care about the specific topic. For example, if I was really, really mad at someone, I would never use the N word. I would never use the F slur. I would never use the other F slur. I would never use the R word. I wouldn't go there because I am caring enough that I would not insult someone in that specific manner, right? And I would be able to contain any urge. I don't even have the urge because I feel repulsive for even using the terminology, right? And that's my point. If I feel bad about myself for using those types of words, it means that I actually care about the topic and don't want to abuse the group as a whole to insult one person because I'm being petty. That's my point.
So you've never brought up someone's whiteness in terms of like respond to them like in a debate? You never said, "Oh well, the white man says this" or "white whatever." I know you've done that. I've heard you do that.
True, I have.
Whoa, holy shit, you are so fucking disgusting.
Oh man, I actually need to be more careful about my more
I don't think you hate white people.
Friends.
Do you hate white people?
What have I done?
White people? Do you hate white people?
When that late conservative piece of shit radio host Don Imus,
Rush,
like,
oh never mind.
Well, okay. Rush, I thought you were gonna talk about Rush.
Yeah, well, Rush is
low.
No, Rush can rest in piss too.
Yeah, fuck Don Imus up.
Yeah, but when Don Imus said of that women's basketball team, right, filled with women, black women, when he called them nappy-headed hoes, right? What what can we?
What does it even mean?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'll explain it to you later. But like,
Okay.
what can we draw inferences about? He didn't use a slur, yes, because he was too smart to do that, right? Donald Trump didn't use, for the most part, sometimes he did. For the most part, he didn't use slurs, but he seemed to get his point across about how he felt about certain groups. So like, do we have no context at all? And literally zero context to understand what he might have been doing? Like nothing?
Okay, so I want to use an example to kind of like help describe this. You remember when Durka said that Vivian isn't actually a real woman or something like that, or implied that she wasn't a real woman?
I remember.
When I saw that, I had a 2-hour fucking conversation with Durka, like grilling her, finding out whether she's transphobic or not. And we came to the conclusion that she's not transphobic. Even in the most bad faith interpretation I could get, she wasn't transphobic at all. You find specific things that people are very insecure about, or that you know will hurt that person, and because you know that, and because you want to be an asshole, and because you want to hurt that person, you're gonna pick at that. You can be the most pro-trans person in the world.
No, you can't. No, you can't. No,
you see trans women do this all the time.
How nice of you to give Durka the seal of approval, but that was extremely transphobic.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
Trans people do this all the time.
This is embarrassing. Yes, and black people use the N-word to each other all the fucking time. Is that the same? I hope you can understand. I hope you can understand that's not the same. If you can't, then you have no idea about the racial and social context of this nation. You have no clue if you can't understand that the way an in-group uses those types of things is different how an out-group, right, an oppressive out-group uses those things. If you think those are the same, then you actually have no idea how our society works, right? So, hold on. What Durka did was fucking transphobic, right? It's fucking transphobic. Now, what I'll do is maybe I'll pull back. I'll pull back a little bit, right? I'll give a little space here. And to say that that is better, right? And I think it's oftentimes better to instead of attacking the person themselves, right, is to attack the action, right? To say an action itself is like racist or sexist or transphobic. I think that's actually better, right? So I'll readjust my rhetoric there, right? However, the Republican Party is what the Republican Party is. It has a history that it does, right? It's filled with the disgusting people that it's filled with, right? So when I see, once again, yet another woman of color being attacked violently, right? Violent imagery being used against them, right? Yes, I will draw the proper inferences that those people and their history, they're actually fucking racist. That's what I'll do.
You'll call every single Republican a racist because of the past of the Republican
Yes, that's
Party.
what I said. That's what I just said. I said all the Republicans are racist. That's what just came out of my mouth, right? Or did I just attack the guy who tweeted that out?
Well, you said they're racist. I don't know what you mean by they.
Did I not just say them attacking? Did I just said they attacked? Who attacked? Was it every single Republican that attacked her? Is that what happened? Is that what you think? No? Okay.
Wait, no, you said tons. Do you genuinely believe that every single person that attacked AOC is racist?
No, I mean like in this specific manner. You can, like I said before,
okay, so
keep up with the
conversation,
right? Because I said it really from the start. I said there's all kinds of ways to attack AOC. If you don't like her ideas, yes, there are plenty of ways to do that aren't violent, they aren't sexist, they aren't racist, right? They don't hit in any of those categories, and you can still get your point across about how much you don't like the woman.
But Prime, you just said the people who attacked her are racist.
Oh my God! I'm sorry you can't keep up with like the full scope of the conversation. But like I was assuming that you were listening previously. If you weren't, I said it again. So maybe you've caught up now. There you go. Holy shit!
Wait, hold on. But Prime, you said that you're going to do this because of the history of the Republican Party, right? But it seems like you're when you're evaluating what Gosar, or however the fuck you say his name, did.
Gosar.
You're attaching that hit. You're attaching that history to him, and so because this history exists, right? He must be a racist for attacking her in this specific way, right? And to be clear, there's nothing racist that I saw in the anime thing, right?
At least about AOC, there was definitely some racist parts, just not.
I disagree with that. So there, I didn't say anything racist, so that is certainly anything that I call racist about AOC or Biden. She's a smaller Titan. Biden was a bigger Titan because he's the leader of the party, right? And I think it's reasonable to, if you're going to put out propaganda, right, about how you're fighting the Democrat Party, to pick one of the most popular Democrat representatives, right? So I don't know how we're getting from this meme to racism.
Exactly.
I can definitely see where Prime sees this, but there's also a level where I absolutely disagree with Prime on the viewpoint that it's always that, or I'm sorry, excuse me, that's straw manning. There's times that Prime just hits on this where I'm like, I can't go with this 110% because it's like you see it everywhere, Prime, and it's one of the things that I've always wanted to talk to you about is that I 100% agree with you that there's racists out there, there's sexists out there. But is it as bad as you see it is? It's hard for me to validate that. It really is.
There's a lot of, it's hard to talk about it because at a certain point we're looking at nuance that's like so deep, and people who just, are mask on all the time, that you can't necessarily tell who is and who's not. So like if you're seeing it everywhere, that's like because you've been caught in an unexpected way. Like, for example, not to out anyone or dox anyone, but like my little brother was dating a girl in high school, right? And her parents were like high school counselor or high school counselors, and they turned out to be extremely racist and against my little brother dating a white girl, right? So like these people are mask on in public, and they are in our institutions teaching everyone, and then like privately they're extremely racist. So like I see racism everywhere. I wonder if I see racism everywhere, and I question it, not just in like politics, but just like day-to-day like things, right? So I mean, if we're seeing attacks on AOC and the way that those attacks are conducted, I think it's perfectly valid to question whether it's racially motivated or not.
What else was in that video? What else was that in the video? Can we remember? What was in that video?
Was it migrants that were like considered a threat?
Apparently the people here have forgotten that. Amazing, right? So, right, you have those migrants who are the invading horde, right? And then who is in particular is the one who receives the violence back, right? Of the heroes who gets cut down, the Latin woman. Oh, and I guess we can't use our thinking caps. I can't put those on to make a few inferences here, right? I guess that's a little too much. Oh, yeah. I wonder if it's racist. Oh, who can tell? Who can tell?
Okay, that's a little ridiculous. So AOC is one of the strongest advocates for immigration reform in the Democrat Party. Right? So like this is one of her like core issues. So of course, if you're going to make a video about the hordes of invading illegals and the caravans coming over the border, right, which I don't think is racist, to point that out, that this reality is happening, right, that there are people showing up at the southern border. If you're going to make a video about those, you're going to attach to that one of the most popular people in the Democrat Party, and one of the most popular people who's pushing this platform that's going to reform immigration, and from the Republican perspective, allow more of these people into the country. Right?
So if it's a regular propaganda, so if it's a regular propaganda film, maybe, right? But this isn't a regular propaganda film. This is like hey, we need to, like, these people aren't worth having in our country, and we're going to kill like the lead, like the person who's like leading the charge on trying to deal with immigration.
I don't think he was saying that AOC needs to be murdered.
The lead advocate.
I don't think AOC needs to be murdered. Like, what do you mean? But if there were like some meme video about Bernie Sanders powering up and punching Trump to the moon, I wouldn't say this person's advocating for Trump to be punched to the moon.
The only way it could have been more blatant is if it was like a Death Note, like fucking.
No, I think that's kind of. I agree. Like I said, I agree that this is problematic. Right? I don't like that imagery, but that doesn't mean that the intention was to say that someone needs to cut AOC's head off. Right? Again, while Trump is in office, there are plenty of memes out there about blowing Trump up. Bernie Sanders beating the shit out of him, cutting his head off, all these things, right? But I don't think any of these people were advocating for someone to actually do these things to Trump.
Not the same thing.
Yes, it is the
same frequency. What? Like we talked about.
Absolutely.
So we talked about
more.
How is not the same thing?
Just shh. Adults are talking. So like Kathy Griffin, for example, right? Like that was obviously bad. There was Donald Trump's bloody head, like being held in her hands. We could all agree that was like hugely problematic. And like any type of situation where like Donald Trump was like, you know, the future of like something that's violent is like really, really bad. But I would also say was not nearly as frequent or as with the same like vitriol that AOC has been like kind of suffering, considering her role in the Democratic Party versus his role as like, you know, the president of the United States doing fuck shit for a number of years and saying fuck shit that like, you know, creates a lot of, you know, nasty imagery. Like Donald Trump literally antagonized half the whole country very actively, right? While AOC just wants to like advocate for like illegal immigrants and doesn't try to like create.
You don't think AOC antagonizes the Republican Party and Republicans of the country?
I mean, I would say that like AOC is been, I mean, on some level, sure, but like it's definitely like
no, not on some level. She definitely.
No, I'm sorry. Are you saying that? No, okay. With the just chill. So like AOC did not do what Donald Trump did, right? Like she's not holding huge rallies and then mocking like the Republican, like ex-Republican or Y Republican. It's not like it's not the same imagery. It's not the same sort of rhetoric that's coming from these two individuals. If you look at if you looked at Donald Trump's Twitter and you look at AOC's Twitter, it's very, very different, right? Like Donald Trump's Twitter was this person's shitty, this person's shitty, this person's shitty. AOC's like, this is the policy I want to push, this is the policy I want to push, this is the policy I want to push. It's two different things. It's night and day, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's true. In fact, I'm gonna pull some stuff.
Hey, go ahead.
Give me a few minutes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull some stuff for you. You're going to tell me how it's not just like Trump.
No, I'm just talking. Well, you're gonna have to get quantity too, right? Like you're gonna have to like, you know, give me like the list of like Donald Trump's tweets, like, you know, the thousands and thousands where he shit posted the entire time he was president versus like if you find like 3 or 4 like shit posts from AOC.
Are you serious? I mean, AOC's
like,
literally one of the things people typically point to, right, in praise of AOC is her ability to use platforms like Twitter, her ability to use like other social media sites to push her platform, to get her message out there, and to antagonize Republicans, right? She does this all the fucking time, and she does it very effectively. This is something that she's fucking great. This is a massive point on her side of the aisle, right? So to downplay that, right, to strip that power from her because you'd like to present her as like this weak brown woman who's only going to attack because she's a brown woman is fucking ridiculous. That's actually racist.
Don't put words in my mouth.
You're presenting her as somebody that's not exceptional, somebody who's not powerful in this country. She's a very exceptional, powerful politician.
Don't bring brown women down.
Worthy of being attacked. Just like Biden, just like fucking Nancy Pelosi, just like Chuck Schumer. These are powerful, influential people.
Is she worthy of being raped? Is she worthy of being
no one's saying that.
Great.
Okay,
Is she worthy of being
Did that happen in the Gosar video?
Is she worthy of being beaten? Right? And that's great because the imagery they use is very specific and it's very deliberate, right? And you guys keep like comparing these things, right? Like, oh, well, let's just compare different memes, right? But we actually have a history in this country. We have a context where white men committed racialized and sexualized violence against women of color. That's the actual history, right? And the history that the Republican Party fucking embodies of the history the Republican Party uses to its benefit. Let's not forget the Southern strategy. Let's not forget everything about that organization, right? Let's not forget that context. Let's not forget the last president that they put up, right? So this all exists. And to pretend like you just can't understand. I just don't get it. Like, I can't connect these two thoughts, right? Like, that in itself is the problem, right? This feigned fucking ignorance of the actual issue allows people to get away with this. Exactly this bullshit, right? We have to question it. Is it really? I mean, it didn't say, right? I want to kill all Latina women, right? Like, I hate her because specifically of her race or ethnicity or of her gender, right? He didn't say it. So how can we know? I just can't put it together. How are you putting it together? Yeah, amazing, embarrassing.
Anytime you attack black people, you're racist.
Yes, that's what I said. Brilliant. That's exactly what I said. Like get your fucking listening comprehension up to snuff. Like, holy shit. Yes, that's exactly what I said there. Like, you boiled it down to the most reductive statement that you could, right? Good fucking work. Makes you look a genius.
Okay, so wait. So one second. So you went all the way back to the Southern strategy to justify this position. Why wouldn't you go 10 years prior to the Southern Strategy, where Lyndon B. Johnson said he'd have the N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years? Why do you stop there?
Yeah, he was a racist.
Republicans must be racist.
No, he was
because
racist.
this thing happened within the party. You go 10 years prior.
LBJ is a racist.
Even okay, that's obviously.
Yeah, okay.
But you could.
Both
But again,
the Democratic and Republican Party
stop.
voted all the racists, and the Republicans won.
Mad Lab, stop talking over
listen,
Doobie, dude. I'm getting pissed off with it.
I don't understand why you're attaching this racist history to the Republican Party as if there's not plenty of this in the Democrat Party too.
I didn't say there wasn't. You're using whataboutism.
No, okay, then I don't understand why you're saying that. Oh, because there's a history of these kind of like memes or attacks on women of color in this country. That history belongs to the Republican Party. This is a history that the Republican Party embodies. I don't think that's true at all.
I didn't say it's exclusively to the Republican Party. I would say, and you've already heard me. I don't know why you're even asking this, because you've already heard me like criticize the Democratic Party viciously, right? Or Biden viciously because of their the racial the policies that they've pushed in the past, right? Biden in particular with the crimes bill, right? Like Biden had he wanted he was like one of the people pushing basically the super predator.
And his thing about like racial turning schools into racial jungles and all this kind of nonsense.
Exactly, 100% agree.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, I didn't say that they were exclusive. No, there's blame to go around. But I'm saying, right, the people who've been the party of the Southern Strategy, the party of Nixon, and the party of fucking Reagan, the party of Donald Trump, right? And you can push Bush Jr. in there too, I guess. Depending on how you want to shake that. But yeah, like that party in particular, no, it has a history. Like it has, it's different. It's qualitatively different.
Okay, so I semi-agree with you, right? But my issue is that so you asked me if she deserves to be like violently assaulted and like raped and shit. Obviously not, right? But that's not what these mainstream Republicans are pushing. If you have any political movement, you're gonna have crazy on the outside that say crazy shit and make crazy ass memes and videos and shit. When fucking Ben Carson was running for president, or when he was in office fucking up HUD, right? You had people that would call him an Uncle Tom and a house N-word and a C word and all this kind of shit. I don't think those people are representative of the entire Democrat Party, right? But and if when Trump was in office, you had people who would make memes about raping Melania, right? This plenty of these fucking things existed about killing her, about killing Barron Trump, right? About killing Sarah Palin.
We're prominent Democrats retweeting those things.
Yeah.
This man didn't retweet anything about raping AOC.
He right? just the murder. No, he just the murder. Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
Okay, but I'm sure. Again, can you tell me how you're attaching this meme, right? Which I agree, the violence of the meme is problematic. I don't like it, as I said 1,000 times. But I don't understand how you're making this racial. Like where does it cross the line from being a meme attacking a politician, a very popular, very influential politician in this country that's pushing immigration reform that Republicans don't like, into being a racist attack? Or is it the case that anytime you criticize a Democrat, a black or a color? Let me just finish the statement. A woman of color in the Democrat Party, and your meme includes some form of violence, right? Then it's racist.
Did he attack her positions? Did he attack her positions? Is that what he did? Or did he show a video of her violent end? Which one of those happened?
I think so. What I got from that meme was that it's an Attack on Titan meme, right? So they have the giant walls, and they have the invading hordes from the outside. And the giants are trying to break down the walls to let the invading hordes in, and Gosar, whatever the fuck his name is, and the other Republicans are going to fight them and keep them out, right? So this is clearly the symbolism of the meme. Right, so it's saying that they're pushing this immigration reform that's going to let these people into the country. We're going to stop them. And how are we going to stop them? How are we going to stop them? What part? What did you get from that video when he talked about stopping them? Any ideas? It's a meme. So when Trump was talking about draining the swamp, did we think that he was actually going to drain water out of a lake in Washington somewhere and drown all the alligators?
Yeah, that's the same. That's the same as violence. Yes, hold on. This is how stochastic terrorism works. This is actual stochastic terrorism, right? Like, we understand this? I hope we can understand this, because if you can't, then you literally can't understand the history of the last decade. Certainly not, right? All of that just flies over your head if you can't understand like the political discourse that's been happening. When we say, well, like I don't have a problem with these individuals, but you know what, right? Like, they're bringing down America. Someone needs to do something about them. That group of people or that individual person, right? I wish. We got all these guns around here, right? We got the Second Amendment. I wonder if someone could put these all together and do something about these. Now, I wouldn't advocate violence, right? But if that person could just like disappear, right? That might be a good thing. Right. And it said again and again over, and it said again and again over conservative media, right? Targeting these individuals, right? That seem to have something in common with them. I don't know, right? Again, apparently no one here sees fucking color, so I guess you can't comprehend what that might be. So I'll just leave it alone because it might be over your head. Okay, great. Well, right? Again and again, they target these individuals. Again and again, they say like these people need to fucking disappear somehow, right? That's how stochastic terrorism works. Do you understand that?
I think his point is more that like
I was gonna say like to add to it real quick. Like there's actual people who are actually like being a little bit more outspoken than just being like, it'd be a shame. Like you've got Michael Flynn who's like literally telling people to like prepare for war, right? Like if you looked at like Michael Flynn's actual rhetoric, like he's going to crowds and he's trying to actually incite real violence.
So I think what those on the side who don't think this is racist are kind of getting at is there's a bunch of explanations about what the reason why AOC was included in this could be. It could be because she was a prominent Democrat. It could be because of racism. That is plausible. I'll give it to you, Prime. But the discussion I think, or the disconnect I think that we're having is which one of those we think is more likely to be the reason that she was included. We have to kind of like, because since there are multiple explanations of why she was included in the video, each of us are like individually reasoning which one we think is more likely the reason that she was used. I think some of us here, there's definitely a chance it was because of racism. I think some of us have the inclination that it's more likely that she was included because she's a big prominent Democrat and big prominent progressive, while the others are saying it's more likely she was included because of racism and sexism.
Yeah, you've just restated the entire argument. I get it. Some of us here can't use context clues. We understand that, right? This is amazing. I get that, right? I get that other people are evaluating this within a vacuum and going, I can't connect these two things. Right? Like I don't see. Like we've gone over this again. I didn't think this would be the sticking point of the conversation. I honestly did not. This was I thought something that we could easily maybe a part of the discussion, but not like an hour's worth of talking about. Could this be racist? Like, do we have a racist history, right, that's continued on through rhetoric, through dialogue, through policies, through institutions, all of that, and that when an influential leader, right? An influential leader on the opposing party, right? Targets a woman of color, right? In the context of all that history and that present, right? Maybe we could actually use our heads on this, but apparently not. Sorry.
And
I thought too much of y'all.
This could also be like really multifaceted too, right? Because like it's also a thing where like you're trying to get as many different ends as possible with your like propaganda, right? So it could be the racial angle and also like the prominence of AOC in the first place and all this together at the same time, right? Like the point is you can't deny that racism isn't a part of the propaganda campaign here.
Of the general,
yeah, I can.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I think so. Prime. I think ironically, I have the same issue that you just said you have, but it's on the opposite end. So I feel like you guys are reducing her to her status as a woman and as like a certain like skin color, and forgetting all the other reasons, good reasons, Republicans might want to diminish her reputation or attack her, right? So that I just feel that's
in New York.
I mean, I don't understand like what the issue is. So she's one of the wicked witches of the Republican Party, right? Or it's like, oh God, she's gonna come and she's gonna bring in all the illegals and yada yada, right? She's part of the squad and they're all communists and they want Muslims to take over the country and shit like that. This shit that they push all the time, right? So it's totally reasonable, given her popularity, given her advocacy, her outspoken advocacy, and her very effective advocacy for her political positions, that they'd want to attack her, right? I don't understand why we'd forget all that and say that it must have included her because she's a brown woman.
I mean, I literally just said why not both.
Mm.
So I mean,
Okay.
it could all be there. It could be all like one big thing, you know.
I mean,
But the racism is certainly
Okay.
there.
Well, I mean, there's no
Um,
way to know
Okay.
like either way on that. So yeah, it could
there's
be.
no way to know. Wow. Okay.
I
There-
mean,
well, I
There
mean,
was a propaganda film about.
you could. I think it's likely, but you can't.
And
can't
like
just say, "I
literally
know."
the way they like panned the camera and like the pictures they chose was to like highlight how different the people crossing the border were from like those who were like the recipient like audience, right? Like
Well, because
it was
they're
a
trying to
Right,
portray them
exactly.
as an
Yeah, it was
invading
definitely a
force.
racist video.
They're trying to portray them as an invading force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
mean,
they
coming
do
from-
against migrants. Yeah. That's how
Yeah,
they
and I
always
mean,
when I
to
was Latin.
illegal
to the credit,
The entire
I-
history
migrant caravans
of
and shit.
conservative media has been portraying our Latin brothers and sisters crossing the border as an invading force. Yes. You're
Yeah,
okay,
well, not even
yeah.
that,
we're
but
making
I will say though,
We're
they
making
also
progress.
they also did
We're
make
wasn't
making
an
referring to
progress.
explicit
illegal
point in
immigrants.
the video.
You've gotten that. Yes, they've put them as an invading force, right? What is that
Illegal
invading force?
immigrants.
And I
They're
like
a
how the
dangerous
legality is the
invading
problem.
force, right? And what do we
Of
do
course it is,
about
but
that
are you
invading
serious?
force?
Not
We
allowed
fight
to-
against.
like-
We fight them with violence. Is what we do. We line our borders, right, with militiamen. That's what we do. Someone needs to go
With
down to
security.
that border and do. No. I'm talking about actual militiamen. So like, yes, we have the border patrol, but actual militiamen. You're aware of that, right?
Oh,
Yeah, actual. Right?
okay.
Okay, yeah. So actual militiamen go down there, right? Racist white gangs is exactly what they are. Go down there to protect the border and not victimize our Latin brothers and sisters as they're crossing. Yeah, that's what happens. So yes, exactly. They're an invading force. I'm glad step one accomplished. Now let's see if we can get to the next step. Go ahead. You're
Okay,
doing well.
illegal immigrants do not belong in the. That's why they're called illegal immigrants.
Oh,
now, if
there
they
we
were
go.
legal, we can
God,
we
there
can
we
no,
go.
we can give them amnesty. We can give them amnesty. We can give them anything. We can naturalize them, whatever, and then they can become legal immigrants. But that's what the term illegal means, right?
A lot of
they're
the
not
people
legal.
in the video weren't illegal immigrants, though. Some of them were. They used the
Migrant
Haitian
caravans?
refugees.
So
No,
you
well, yeah,
should
but they used the
understand,
Haitian
like-
refugees, right? The Haitian refugees were not illegal immigrants. They were here legitimately seeking asylum. So I do think there is an element of racism at play. I mean, in fact, I think that's probably why. I think there is a point that Prime has that I think they probably use the Haitian immigrants specifically because of their darker skin complexion. I think that there is a good chance that's why he used that footage of migrants instead of of the Hispanics. So I do think racism has a part to play in the video. I'm not sure about the AOC part.
And I would also like to mention that like to ask for amnesty in the United States, you actually have to be on American soil. So like the institutional recourse actually forces migrants to show up on it's not the U.S. embassies; those aren't
Wait,
allowed.
are
That's
you
not
saying
good
you
enough.
can't legally enter the U.S.?
You actually have to enter the U.S. to ask.
You
for
can't
amnesty.
legally enter.
You
That
literally
is
have
legally
to-
entering.
Oh my god.
That's the recourse we've given people who are overseas asking for amnesty. You have to be on U.S. soil to ask for amnesty. You can't say,
could give them
"Hey,
amnesty, yes, but you're acting as if like the only way to become an American citizen is by getting amnesty.
or a 7-year wait. I'm sorry. So like the institutional recourse is not there for people to do it legally. That's the problem. And there's a lot of folks.
Hey, wait,
who are,
then say we have to improve that. I completely agree. We should make it so much
great.
easier to become an American citizen. 100%.
Sure. So like the propaganda video illustrating how policy should not go in that way. Like you literally have a congressman who's creating a propaganda video celebrating the fact that there's lack of institutional recourse, right?
What? How?
Because
How?
because he's treating the migrants as invaders and saying he's going to basically pass policy.
Okay. I've got to get into this because I'm gonna literally lose my brain.
All right, go ahead, Tyberius.
Okay, so there's a level with this. I've said it. There's definitely racists within the Republican Party. The problem is that one of the most strongest and absolutely anti-immigrant folks that I know are all Hispanic. So are they all racist as hell? Or do they actually have issues that are concerned with when it comes to immigration that is absolutely relevant and has to be dealt with that they vote Republican because of?
The idea
come on, guys.
First of all, the idea that the Latin community is at all united and is a race.
No, I'm not saying they are. Not saying they are.
Great. So they're not a race, right? They come in here with different different past in terms of like their countries, right, and how they relate to each other, right? A lot of fucking like for instance, like Mexicans like don't like Guatemalans or something, right? Like just an example, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of like bigotry that happens back and forth within their community. So sometimes, right, depending what's happening there, I would actually call them bigots. No, I actually would do that. I'd take that step. But that's like completely contextual. I'm not like calling them all bigots because they have an issue of, you know.
So I actually know some folks who live near the border, and I understand like some of the issues that folks who are Hispanic who live near the border, like there are like actual security concerns that they have that drive them to have drives their interest into like an anti-illegal immigration policy and stuff. So like I can respect that and I can get that, right? Like fine, sure. I don't necessarily think that folks who have like actual security concerns because of illegal immigration count when we're talking about racist propaganda against the immigration hordes, right? Like the two different groups, and there's like a lot of people going to have lots of reasons for having a problem with one thing or another. So I wouldn't necessarily say that everyone is, but like if you actually live on the border and there's like issues that you have to deal with that we don't understand because we don't live on the border, I get that. I can respect that. Absolutely, 1000%. That being said, that video was racist as fuck.
You realize that the migrant caravans from Haiti pushed through Mexican army blockades to get to the U.S.? You don't think that's like?
Let's not. Can we not turn this into a goddamn immigration debate? Like for real?
I'm
it's kind of the central theme of the video.
Lorenzo,
I am so pro immigration. I think immigration is fantastic. You can look through my history. I've had immigration debates are like the biggest fucking thing I've done. Okay, I'm super pro immigration. However, you have to recognize that illegal immigration is bad. It's actually baffling to me how you guys don't.
Actually, I disagree with that. I actually completely disagree with that.
I think illegal immigration is good.
I say that because we don't have a fair, just immigration system, that unjustified immigration, right? Just like strategically breaking law. Like for instance, like during the civil rights movement, right? It was against the law to sit at a whites-only lunch counter, right? But that was a good thing that they did that. It's great that we are having more and more people come in here and actually fill in the jobs that we need, right? Because that's what they do, right? So many of them are actually filling in parts of the economy, right? And having economic exchange is not the word I'm looking for.
Opportunity.
Opportunities, yeah, but like sending money back to their own countries. Like I think all of that is actually great. It's fantastic. They are strategically breaking the law. Absolutely, 100%. It's amazing. Fuck that.
You think it's amazing that illegal immigrants are getting exploited
undocumented immigrants? Yeah, I think undocumented immigrants. It's great that they're here. It's great because they are
they're getting exploited for their labor, working like $3 an hour.
No, exactly what I just said. Hold on, did I not? Again, you got to work on your listening comprehension.
The only way to fix the problem is
I already covered this, right? I said that, right? I said that because we don't have a just, fair immigration system. That in light of that, then those people need to get here any way they can, right? If that's got to be through undocumented means, right? Then that's fine, right? I would prefer a just system, right? Especially one that took into the account of American intervention into all these different nations, right? Haiti at the fucking top of the list there, right? I'd want that, but we don't have that. So yes. People, immigrants, get over here as any way that you can, right? Break those immigration laws right now.
It's crazy. I guess I thought I was pro-immigration, but it turns out like
I got this question. Like, do you know how people can like enter this country legally? Like, I'm just like what is the legal process for someone to become like an American? Like,
there are multiple legal processes for you to become an American. Well, you get your green card, right?
Okay.
There are things that can skip. So if you invest over was it 500 grand in the US?
Yeah, something around there. Yeah, you get your golden was it a golden green card or something? There's like golden something.
Yeah,
golden
exactly.
visa, yeah. But you get that they can't do that, right? And you get that.
Yeah, of
There's
course.
the tiny. Okay, I wasn't sure because you haven't given me a lot of confidence during this conversation. Like you also know that the lines to get in here, right? Like those wait lines, like people have to wait years and years and years, and oftentimes they don't have that long, right? And those lines, those queues, right? That's what I meant to say. Like those queues, right, are specifically designed, right, to cause that, right? And we have even when you're going through the process, right, it's made as difficult as possible, and there's specific like breakpoints, right? Where if you fuck up, you got to start all over again. They've done that literally on purpose to make it as difficult as possible. You understand? That's the immigration process that we have, right?
And I think that's bad, and it should definitely be improved, like I've said multiple times during this conversation. However, the solution to that isn't by letting illegal immigrants into the country. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
I didn't say it was a solution.
I mean,
so why
like
do it?
Because they need the help now. Yeah, because they need the help now. They can't wait for Americans to get off their ass and to fight the powers that be, right? Who make a profit off of exploiting those immigrants. They need the help now. They need to get here now. Their lives are in danger now, right? So no, they're not going to fucking wait. They're human beings, right? They're not going to die like dogs just because, right? We haven't gotten our shit in order yet. So yes, that's what they have to do now. That is their solution. It is not the solution to the problem. It is a symptom of our failure of the democratic system here.
And I mean,
wouldn't ameliorating a system be a goal? Ameliorating a symptom be a goal?
No, that wouldn't help. How would that help the humans? What is the point of having a fair immigration system? It is to protect and to help and to realize those people coming across those borders are valuable individuals, right? That's the point of that. The point isn't simply just to, like, in the abstract, have a different system. So, in the process of that, some people have got to get in now because this is when they're living. They're not living 40 years down the line when we finally get our asses in order, right? So that's a separate thing.
Not everyone has the right to immigration.
They hiked 1,000 miles to get to our border, right? Like they're.
Why does that give them the right to immigrate?
Are they doing this on a whim, or are they doing it because they need assistance now? Like you understand, these people are desperate, right?
Well, it doesn't matter, right?
So like the point is that we don't have an ideal system, and there's like Republicans and Democrats both responsible for it. Fine, sure, whatever. My point is that the fact that they're illegal is balanced with the fact that they need to get into this country to survive.
I don't care.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, okay.
You're massively overstating.
First of all, they don't need that to survive. Second of all,
I'm
I
sure
don't care.
they hiked 1,000 miles just because they felt like it.
Okay, most migrants move for economic reasons, right? They see the United States as somewhere where they can have a better. Well, okay, but they can. That doesn't mean they can't get fed in Mexico, right? When they're going through Mexico, they can stop there and feed themselves there. Okay, they can make a life there. There's no reason to let them go all the way through Mexico, fight the Mexican military like border guards, and then push to the United States.
And all those Mexican
no, one second. So I just posted something in the small council group chat that we have, right? So if you look at the not just the articles, right? You can read the articles, but look at the pictures, right? Thousands and thousands of people marching toward the border, right? So this Gosar guy is representative of Arizona, where his constituents deal with exactly the issue of thousands of people trying to get over the border, thousands of unidentified people, totally unaccountable people that you guys are encouraging right now to get over that border.
Get over the border. Sorry. Go ahead.
Of course, he and his constituents are going to be sensitive to this topic because they're dealing with the ramifications of thousands of migrants showing up at the border and trying to push through. Right? So this is a hot button topic for him and his constituents. AOC is one of the people pushing immigration reform that he believes is encouraging these people to show up at the border in thousands. And again, look at these pictures. It does look like a fucking invading army. These are like massive crowds of people a mile long, right? So like I can totally understand why this would be a sensitive topic and why he'd want to push propaganda to attack her credibility on the issue.
And how did he do that? And how did he do that? Right? Specifically with imagery, picturing them as subhuman. right? As
Oh, that's not
dangerous. No, hold on.
What?
Really? Hold on. The Titans aren't literally dangerous. They aren't literally eating human beings. They aren't invading the capital. And that, what are you talking about? That's not true. That's exactly true.
Wait,
the Titans are
didn't
like.
see
Literally,
In the anime, when they bring him in,
it's amazing that
everybody dies.
none of you can do any media analysis. Like zero. Like this is completely above you, right? Zero media analysis, right? Subhuman individuals who are being killed, right, by the heroes, specifically a Latin woman of color, right? Again, just a coincidence that happened, just a pure coincidence, right? There's literally no one else talking about immigration, right? No one else forcefully pushing back on trying to make that happen, sure, right? They pulled that one out of a hat, great, sure. So they have an army, right, of subhuman individuals walking across the border, and this does not have anything to do with the conservative talking points that have been used for decades, right? Those exact conservative talking points. You just can't make the connection. Amazing.
Okay, so I don't know where you're getting the subhuman thing from. So do you think he was presenting Biden as subhuman?
Oh my God.
This
Yes,
very privileged white man.
actually, yes,
So
because
Biden, this white man is also subhuman.
He's racist. The
I'm
white
saying,
people.
yeah, holy shit! It's amazing, right? This is like the most embarrassing set of arguments I've ever seen, right? Like, oh, they included a white guy there, right? So that must mean none of it is racist. Oh, they're being equal, right? It's a rainbow. It's a rainbow coalition that they're against. Yes, it's all the same, right? Except that the person that necessarily gets the violence is specifically the Latin individual, right? Except that all of this aligns with the rhetoric of the decades of Republican Party, the platform and the conservative media. All this aligns perfectly, right? But they included a white guy up, so I guess it doesn't work. It doesn't perfectly fit, right? Genius level reasoning here. Amazing.
You're injecting
Wait, why was it
racism where
racist
there
against
exists none.
AOC?
Oh man.
Yeah, you're injecting racism where there is none.
Why was
So
it
this-
racist against
they're-
AOC but not
okay,
Biden?
Let me in for
hold
a
on.
second here.
How would have been racist? Oh my God, this is like, I'm sorry, like Lorenzo, this is embarrassing.
Biden was the final enemy. He was bigger than
This is
AOC.
an embarrassing
really
level of thinking. Sorry, go ahead, man.
I would
Biden-
really like to hear Tiberius because, like, I'm
Oh,
sure
go
he's gonna
ahead.
say something that's interesting and relevant versus whatever the fuck that was about to be.
Okay, so like, here's the thing. Like, my bigger criticism left is that like racism is fucking everywhere. Now, I'm not gonna say it's not, but there's definitely a lot of racism out there. On the other side of that, the right, and I'm getting this from Doobie right now, is like there's no racism at all. Can we at least compromise that there's some level of racism to play in here? That it's not all racist. I'm serious. Like either both sides of this argument is starting to piss me off a lot because it's like all racist or no racist. Like, Doobie, some of these folks are hella racist, 100%. Prime, not all of these people are racist.
I didn't say. Did I say all the people were racist? Did I say that? I specifically did not say that. Lorenzo said that super shit before. I didn't say that. Did I? No.
You said
Great.
everyone attacking AOC is racist.
No,
You-
hold on.
verbatim.
Again, your listening comprehension is dismal. It's
Verbatim.
Dismal. It's dismal. Let's try it again. Let's do it slowly. I'll do it very slowly for you. I'll
Look at the
break it down.
VOD.
I'll use simple words because you hear like a sentence and you can't like take the whole context of the conversation. When I specifically
walked
address
it
it, don't
back.
worry, I'll do it slowly for you because it's very hard for you. Okay, one step at a time. Number one, right? Yes, you can attack individual representatives, right? You can attack them for the positions, right? Now, was that too big? That too big of a stance for you? For
No,
the
I get that,
political
thank you.
statements, are you catching me? Great, 100%.
Yeah.
We're moving
I'm on
along. Moving on. Next step, right? You can do that, and you can do that in a non-violent way, right? You can do that without imagery, right? That evokes a very specific type of past, right? Do you need me to spell out that past for you? You might need me to spell out that past for you. Okay, let's try it again. All right, so
Yeah,
Republicans, right, have been playing on this thing called like racial animus, right? Racial animus.
What's
using
animus?
the history. No, I'm sorry, I got to do it slowly because you're not going to get it otherwise.
Yeah,
Because I said it like
what's
10
animus?
times already, and it's fucking impossible for you. So I'm gonna try it again. Let's go. So, Republicans are playing on racial animus, a history of
It's animus,
racialized
Prime.
and sexualized violence against a certain group of people. And so, right, looking at all that, right, like now this is the next step, the part that you've simply been impossible for you to do before, right? So I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna do a leap of faith on you. Come on, Lorenzo, you can make it. You can do it,
You're
right?
going too fast,
so
Prime. Slow down.
finally,
Slow
right? They use that. They
Please,
use that
I don't
argument,
get
right?
it.
They use that. They take a piece of media. alter that piece of media, a violent piece of media, right? And then they superimpose the image, right? And to an audience that is primed, right, with those thoughts in their heads, because again, it's been repeated for them over and over again, right? When they see that, it's it evokes a certain message. It's called a dog whistle, okay? You're not supposed to be able to hear, bro. I know. Like I don't have time to walk you through that too. I know. Like look it up. There's a thing called Google. Give it a try, right? Yeah. Okay, wait. So it's a dog whistle. It's a dog whistle to those individuals, and that's the problem, right? Because it gives them deniability, where useful idiots like yourself, right, and like all the other people here, right, can say, well, I'm not sure. I guess I can't tell, right? Oh, there was a white man in there, and so I guess it must not be racist. I can't think of it. Amazing.
Prime, I'm diagnosed with that. Wait, listen. Did you figure it out yet? Prime, I'm diagnosed with Asperger's. You actually attacking me right now is actually really ableist.
Yes,
so,
I did.
Oh my god.
No, embarrassing. You've humiliated yourself. You've humiliated yourself. Wow.
Did you literally look at did somebody literally feed you that? Like, you couldn't even come up with that yourself. You actually looked off screen and you're like, okay, I'm gonna read this word.
He asked me to Google dog whistle. He asked me to Google dog whistle. I was Googling dog whistle.
Okay, can I pull this back into a, like, not, still try to relevant to the topic, but not into the immigration part? Okay, if somebody said that they absolutely despised MTG, would any of those people be sexist? I would hope not. But I'm sure that there are fucking people that are.
I'm sorry.
If anyone said that,
I'm sorry. I missed what you said. Could you repeat it? I was laughing at Lorenzo. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, if anyone attacked, I'm sorry. There's a shitload of people that attack MTG. Most of it because she's absolutely fucking nuts, right? But is there people that attack her because of her sex? 100%. Is there people that do it against the woman from Colorado who's absolutely nuts? Yes. Now, I'm going to hit the big one because this person is toxic as hell and everyone seems to hate her both on the right and the left. Candace Owens. How many people attack her because of her sex and how many people attack her because of her race? There are absolutely people that do both. 100 fucking %. So this part goes both ways. Now, as being on the right, I will absolutely 100% say that the right is far worse at being directed at people of color. I will fucking eat that pill. On the other side of that is that, does that not happen across the board? Fuck yes, it does.
I'm cool with it. I agree with so far, everything Tyberius has said tonight has been like something I could like sort of get on board with on some level. Like, I'd have like nuanced like disagreements here and there, but like I can relate to Tiberius a lot more than what the fuck Doobie and Nefarious are putting out there right now.
Okay, just really quickly, Candace Owens is really fucking hot. So I'm not. I think you misstated my position a bit. So I'm not saying that there are zero racists in the Republican Party, right? I think there are racists in the Republican and the Democrat Party, right? And in the Independent Party, if that's the real thing, right? I think racism is just something that exists. Doesn't really matter what your political persuasion is. And so I'm not saying that's not a thing, right? I'm saying that there's nothing about this ad in particular, right? This meme that tells me it's racist. I don't see the dog whistles you guys are saying, and I'm very aware of dog whistles and what they look like and what they are, right? And there's just nothing here for me, right? So yeah, did the migrants that they're showing, they're brown. Hey, that's because the people that are actually showing up at the border in crowds of thousands are brown. Like, shit, that's the reality. Right? AOC, yeah, she's a brown woman in this meme because she's a brown woman in real life, and she's one of the most popular Democrats in the country, one of the biggest advocates for immigration reform, one of the most vocal advocates for immigration reform, one of the most effective advocates for immigration reform. Right? And yeah, at the end, I don't think Biden was there to hide the dog whistle. I think he was there because he's the fucking president. Like, I'm just not seeing the dog whistles, you guys. Right? I think you guys are kind of like seeing racism under every rock.
I mean, you're not seeing the dog whistles in the same way that Nefarious didn't see the transphobia in Durka's comment, is what it feels like to me. Just a little bit.
The comment was transphobic.
I'm sorry.
No, you misunderstood. You misunderstood. Hold on, really quickly, Nefarious. or Lorenzo, I'm gonna help him because I think he misstated what he said.
I feel like I'm missing something.
So he agrees that the comment itself was transphobic. right? I think what he was saying is that Dirk was really upset because she felt like Vivian was attacking her again and again, singling her out amongst other people, using gendered insults against her, calling her a bitch repeatedly, saying that she was there to suck my farts and she was only there to like regurgitate what I was saying, as she has no thoughts of her own. It's a very sexist trope, right? And so Durka, who felt very attacked, very offended, wanted to hurt Vivian, so what she resorted to was transphobia, it was outright like transphobic. It was not okay to say, but what he was saying is that he spoke to her afterwards for 2 hours. I spoke to her about it personally for longer than that, I think, afterwards, and if for not just right after, like for days afterwards. We talked about that. We talked about that earlier today. She's still upset about it.
Yes.
and we decided that she's not transphobic. She feels really bad about it. She was feeling attacked. She was feeling hurt. She was feeling like she was being attacked for being a woman. So she lashed out in a bad way. Right? That's what it was. And I think that's what Lorenzo said. It's something he didn't see the transphobia. Right? He acknowledged that it was there.
Can I address you real quick, Doobie?
Of course you can, baby.
Yes. So anyway, like the problem that I have with these conversations is that they're often Ouroboros. They often are one of these things that no matter which way, you can't really go 100% one way or 100% another. So when somebody says, hey, I look at this and I'm like, oh yeah, there's definitely some racist elements there. I 100% get your defense where it's like, well, the people who are coming across the border by the million at this point are, Hispanic, Latino, whatever you want. So like, factually, yeah, you're correct. But is there people that have an animosity towards that on a racial lens? Absolutely. So like, there's like, the problem here is like, when you say I don't see it, that's really hard for me to jump on board with. Like, somebody's gonna see it or think that exactly that way. Oh, those dirty people, they're coming over. That's gonna be a thing for people.
Yeah. So that's a reasonable thing to say, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that when you're dealing with the reality of the situation of migrants or illegal immigration, and the reality that a lot of these people look a certain way or have a certain skin tone, right? Whenever you make if you look at the news articles that I posted, look at those crowds, they're very brown, right? If a white nationalist sees the news article, he's going to be upset about it from a racial perspective. Because all these brown people are coming to the country. But if someone that's not racist looks at it, who's also concerned about illegal immigration, looks at that article, they're gonna be upset because there are thousands of migrants coming to the border, no matter what color they are. Right? So I think it's really difficult to cover a topic like illegal immigration when, again, a lot of these people have a certain kind of skin tone without inviting those other people along accidentally. Right. They're gonna latch on because this is a thing. This is their hot button issue because they're afraid of the people that look like this.
So, yeah, I don't disagree with that. And there's one other thing I wanted to add. And this is just one of the things that I talk about with my fellows on the right all the time. Prime was talking about earlier, if, hey, we want to help out people of color, particularly those who are disenfranchised that are not non-citizens. So, happily bring them on here. I have heard this argument, and I want to know what you think about this, Doobie. If the left was anti-immigration, would they literally say the exact words of, oh, you are bringing in a bunch of migrants who are people of color to use them as a subservient economic class?
Yeah, they would. Actually, that's a really that's one of the issues that I have with illegal immigration. That illegal immigrants operate as like a second class.
That's literally
like an underclass of like labor that have no rights, no protections, get paid shit, treated like shit, and if they speak up, they get deported.
Even with
the problem.
Yeah, even with it being illegal, I like there's people that I've heard openly go with the statement of they're anti-immigration because of the fact that the lowest people of the bottom rung of our society right now are people of color, and this actually makes it worse. That having those people come in actually makes it worse.
It's still better for all those individual people, though, right? I hear that argument, but that argument's complete shit. Like, I actually agree with you, Pan, but I like the bottom of our society. But those individual people that they're adding are vastly improving their quality of life.
Right, I 100% agree with you.
So can I say something really quickly? Just touch on that, Tyberius. So this is something that you see a lot in. I don't want to call them liberal elites, but I'm going to call them liberal elites, right? Disconnected people who grew up very wealthy, grew up in the suburbs, and just don't really interact with the world the way that the rest of us do. There was a really big controversy a while back. It was like Kelly Osbourne, right, on The View, was saying something in support of migrants and illegal immigrants, and she says something like, "Oh, if you don't let these people into the country, who's going to clean your toilet?" like this is something that this is a kind of racism that does exist, right? Because I call that racist, right? You're assuming that these brown people are going to be here cleaning your toilet, right? Because they're brown or whatever the fuck. That's pretty fucked. So this does exist on both sides, but I think on either side of the aisle, it's really difficult to engage with this topic without inviting those kind of people along. It's just like, I don't know. It's really just because of the literally, if you show a picture of this crowd, oh shit, there are a lot of brown people in there. Now that the ethno-nats are upset. Like, I don't know how you get around that.
Well, I mean, you don't worry about it. You do your best to help the people who are suffering, right? Like, on some level, that's like the only thing we can try to do. So we should pursue immigration reform, and we should like measure what would they rather have. Would they rather be outside the country, not making more money than they ever have before, or being in like a subservient role in the United States? And I'm not saying that the subservient role in the United States is good. I'm saying it's better than the death that they would have otherwise. And then we work on reform and making things better.
So, it's just kind of like,
and I've witnessed this firsthand, by the way. But
yeah, so have I. So, I think I've told like all of you guys that I grew up in LA, right, like East LA. I'm what most people would call Hispanic. My great grandparents immigrated. Shut up. My great grandparents immigrated from Mexico, right, on both sides of my family. And I've got a lot of people in my family that still live in Mexico, right? But I remember very clearly, right, growing up in East LA, the first time I went out to try to get a job, I was standing in line with a bunch of people who didn't speak English, and that image will like never get out of my head. I don't know if those people were illegal, right? I have no way of knowing that, right? But I know that I felt like I was competing with people who didn't belong in the country, right? And this is a concern that I have because I know that a lot of people in my family, when they went out to get a job, they were applying for the same kind of jobs that these illegals would go for, right? Who like fucking housekeeping at a hotel, construction work, things like this, that where you're gonna find illegal immigrants working in these spaces. So they were competing with people who shouldn't have been in this country, and that's a bad thing to me, no matter what skin color they are, even if these people look the same way that I do, right? So I think that like these aren't like necessarily like the way that you're speaking about this is if we owe these people something, as if we need to let them into the country, right? That's problematic to me because I'm way more concerned about what our people in this country are dealing with, right? And I want people in this country to be doing well first, right? I care about them much more than I care about someone from Guatemala or Haiti or wherever the fuck else. So I don't think they're entitled to anything, right?
So
and you're speaking as if they are. So this is like
I'm between Mad Lad N here and Doobie. I like
That's
like
a wide range.
Like, Veil of, okay, dog. Let me fucking explain. Jesus fucking Christ, you guys are insane. I appreciate the veil of ignorance, right? I like improving society for everyone, not just the people that live in my country. I actually had like a massive debate with Doobie about this. However, why ought I like prioritize foreigners over my own people? That's like, why would my people want that? Doesn't make sense.
Because we're not prioritizing. Go ahead, you go first, Malin.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of like subvert the nationalist angle here. I'm gonna argue that it actually benefits the entirety of America to allow more immigrants into the country and have those people like help America in the first place. So like we don't even have to address the problems with nationalism. I'm just going to completely skirt that topic because I feel like Prime is going to want to chew on it and get into it. I'm going to literally just say that America benefits more by having more people that live here and are assimilated into American culture.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
It's insane.
You're correct in the economic side of that, right? I totally agree with the economics of that. But I think there are other concerns than economics when you're dealing with this.
Wait, but
then he's talking about super cohesion, which is stupid.
You were talking about losing a job to a person who walked 1,000 miles across the border and didn't speak.
Well, okay, so typically when people bring this up, right? Let's say that what is it? There's like a net positive to the GDP, you know, even with the illegal immigrants in the country, their contribution is like a net positive. But this is like, from my understanding, when I look this up, like I don't remember how long ago. This was like generalized to the entire country, right? But in specific states and specific areas, it isn't true, right, that there's a net and positive impact, right? So if you were to go to like Southern California, right, or East LA, or a lot of the states of the border, they are at a net negative, right, in terms of like the impact of illegal immigration on their GDP, on the job prospects of their lower class, right? These are all like, no, good. So I totally agree. If you were to take this across the country, right, overall there's like a net positive, right? But I think when you look at things like that, you're missing the people on the ground that are actually being affected by this in real time.
I mean, I think you can help those who are being, like, the folks who are not benefiting, the folks who are being harmed the most, are being harmed either way and need aid in addition. So I would say get the immigrants in, but then also help the folks who are suffering by being in these states and being in these places where the economy is like rough anyway, right? We can do both. We should do both. I think we should actively pursue both. There's no reason to say, hey, help this group and then ignore the other group. We can just both.
When we discuss immigration, it is highly important that we separate illegal immigration to legal immigration. Illegal immigration is bad for illegal immigrants and for American citizens. Legal immigration is phenomenal. We see wage increases throughout the fucking board. There is economic growth, which benefits everyone. Social cohesion does improve when we add diversity into our communities. It is absolutely fantastic. Legal immigration is the best thing to ever fucking happen, okay? Illegal immigration does not help either party.
Except
So
except
legal then.
completely
Just make it
wrong.
legal then.
No,
Okay, how?
What I was talking about.
Hold on. If they have economic opportunity, not all of them are literally just being exploited, but even if they are, right? If they have economic opportunity, if they have safety, right? If they have a chance to start a family, when the next generation will have even greater opportunities than they had, yes, it actually does help those parties. It's actually extremely beneficial to them. These people are making the calculus. They're not stupid. They're not dumb. They understand what happens in America, right? They get this. They're not like naive and like, oh, man, I thought this was just the land of the free, right? The streets aren't actually paved with gold. Oh no, what's about to happen to me, right? No, they get that. They get that, but they're still making that calculation because they understand that their prospects at home, right, are abysmal, and so they take that step.
They're not taking a step because they think it's a correct step. They're taking a risk.
Now,
it is absolutely
a risk. What? Same thing.
I mean,
what?
It's a
calculated risk.
It's a calculated risk. That's what I just said.
It's not a calculated risk. Absolutely not.
Well,
I don't think it's a calculated risk.
Hold on, you don't think they can?
How the fuck are they meant to calculate it? How are they meant to know?
My situation here sucks. If I go over there, it will be better.
There are documented immigrants using coyotes.
I'm gonna attack that argument.
Using coyotes to get to America. They have no fucking idea what's going to happen on the road to the U.S. They have no fucking idea how the Americans are going to receive them. They have no fucking idea what jobs are going to work.
Because it's a risk. Because it's a risk for them. It's worth taking. If you have, for instance, like if you're like so desperate to use coyotes, right? And we've talked to these people. It's not like we don't know what they're thinking, right? We've actually talked to them, and they say, well, here in my country of like fucking was it Colombia or whatever, right? There is a gang that's saying they're going to kill me if I don't join them. If I don't like run drugs for them, I'm going to be murdered. They threaten my parents. They threaten my family. They're going to sexually assault us, right? And so to avoid that, I'm trusting my hands. I'm putting myself in the hands of a coyote who could also be extremely dangerous. But you know what? Better the devil. What?
That's very important. Like, I think Lorenzo is pointing out that instead of actually deciding between the coyote and the gangs, they're taking a 6-sided die, and they're doing a roll to decide what action to take. I think that's Lorenzo's point. They're not calculating.
They're flipping a coin. They're not going, I'm much more likely to survive here. This is what I'm going to do. No, they're flipping a coin. I'm not saying a dice. Oh, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. They're flipping a coin. They're saying life is shit here, okay? This is guaranteed shit. Here might be potential shit, okay? So I'm gonna flip the coin, and I am going to the US. They're not calculating this shit. They're not like this is like a last chance thing. And I'm not saying we should deport these illegal immigrants or anything. I'm saying like we absolutely should.
We should though.
nationalized. That's the difference between me and Doobie.
Okay.
Doobie's like fucking an idiot.
So I'm sorry about the joke with the diet. I thought that it would resound and
It's-
make it very, very clear. It didn't do anything.
It's
I
Your
not,
love
jokes
it.
are bad.
yeah, it's
Let
not.
me focus on the illegal immigration.
Hold on,
actually
no.
happening.
We have to get to this thing that you don't seem to understand. That these individuals, right? They get danger. They understand. They aren't the first making this trek. Stories get back. They get how dangerous it is. They're leaving their house with nothing but the clothes on their fucking backs, right? And a dream. They get that. There's sometimes they're just sending their children. You think a parent who sends their children down on a 1,000-mile trek, right? You think they don't have an idea that there might be a little risk, right? You think they're not making a calculation, right? Like what is this? Like what is this argument? This is the worst.
I'm gonna repeat myself because I don't think you were listening. What I mean by a calculated risk is looking at all the variables. Okay, this is still a risk because it still might go wrong.
If you have all the variables, there's no risk.
I'm
you
sorry.
know what's gonna happen.
I'm sorry. If we're gonna be arguing over risk versus
The
calculated risk,
variables aren't
then whatever.
defined.
I don't.
There's a difference between a defined variable and a variable that can change.
I'm sorry. I thought this was an interesting conversation, but if you're going to be arguing about the difference between a risk and a calculated risk, then I don't care. Whatever, sure, whatever, that's fine.
So, like, illegal immigration does benefit the country anyway, right? Like, there's industry, yes, they're being hired at lower wages and they're being exploited like crazy, but they still participate in their local economies. They do. Like, people live in the United States, they get paid to do work, and they pay for things like food. Anytime someone participates in the economy, it benefits the economy, makes the economy better. The economy is literally the exchange of money. So, like, as long as there's more people exchanging more money, you are literally benefiting the economy in some way. So overall, the legality and the illegality is kind of mostly irrelevant in terms of like people being in the country and money changing hands. The amount of money that someone who is illegal can make is limited, and that would be the thing to really focus on. Like, how bad is it for someone to not be able to make as much money as someone else, and how does that impact the economy?
They may be improving the economy in some ways, but I think it's important that we have that we have like a registry of everyone that lives in the country. Okay, you need taxes, you need things like that. But
the economic argument is moot, though, right? Like, we can agree that like illegal immigration doesn't actually hurt the economy. We can focus on.
It can hurt the economy in different ways.
Okay, but I mean, it's improving the economy overall. Like the statement you made is that legal immigration is good for the economy and illegal immigration was not good for the country. And I'm saying that both are good for the country in a variety of ways. And we can move on to the registry of illegal immigrants now.
Wait, I said illegal immigration is bad for both parties. This is like a holistic.
Okay.
I'm not talking about like economic participation.
Okay, so it's bad for both parties because of security is basically where you're getting at then.
No, not only. And you also can't prove that just the fact that they're participating in the economy is improving the economy. Because they can have there can be like downsides of other things.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of studies showing that illegal immigration does help the economy. I mean, they're producing, it sucks that they're getting these really low wages, right? But they're producing very valuable goods and services that the rest of us are getting for very cheap.
I mean, you just go to the grocery store and like look at the produce section and be like, "Oh, hey, where did this come from? It's migrant workers and illegal immigrants."
Migrant workers is different from illegal immigrants.
No, it is. I agree. But there's like migrant workers who are both legal and illegal, and a lot of illegal immigrants end up being migrant workers.
I'd just be really interested. Can you just send me the studies that show that look at illegal immigrants and their participation in the economy? Because it'd be really interesting.
Cool. So let's talk about why it's bad for both parties.
Yeah, that's the part I'm more interested in. How could it be bad for the illegal immigrants?
I can actually weigh in on that one, but honestly, there was somewhere I wanted to go about 15 minutes ago, but I think my brain's on the floor somewhere.
Are we talking about death threats still, or like the racism?
I don't fucking remember. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have popped up. Here, I'll actually add to the immigrant conversation, the immigration conversation, because I actually can. I know a lot of the data here. Two things with this. If we're talking about illegal immigration, there is two major concerns. Number one is that while in the aggregate it will improve GDP, and while it usually increases, it improves GDP, and while it increases like the overall economic productivity and opportunity of the region, is that the two downsides on it are, one, security, because usually if you are an illegal immigrant, you are far less likely, like by a factor of 9, not likely to engage with law enforcement if you need to, or if you feel like you'd have to. That's a serious concern. On the other side of that is that if you do get too many illegal immigrants in or in a localized area, it will absolutely depreciate wages, both in relative and absolute terms in that region. That absolutely is a thing. Those are two things that have to be considered, and that does cause social ramifications down ladder, not only for dealing with the police, but also in the regards of if you have people that are watching their wages decrease within the general region, it makes it incredibly less likely for people to want to be there, that you're going to have it as a target of investment, and you'll actually see what is called economic drain out of the region.
So, I mean, I guess we can focus on the part where like it's the wage depreciation is probably like the most important thing, right? Because like it's actual Americans and individuals who are suffering as a result. And I guess we're going to go back to that nationalist argument, since that's what the whole basis of this entire conversation was. Like, should we help foreigners at the expense of the American people? So, I mean, I guess like the point would be that if we had a way of helping illegal immigrants get naturalized, right? Like, let's naturalize all the illegal immigrants. We didn't have illegal immigrants in the first place, then that would sort of help with the wage depreciation problem by itself, right? Because then it wouldn't be legal for a company, or I'm sorry, not legal. Companies wouldn't be able to exploit the workers in the same manner, I guess is what I meant to say.
It definitely helps, because they're absolutely going to be subject to minimum wage law. So there's a floor that they can't go under. But right. If we're talking about an area, let's just say that has a general wage of like $10.10 an hour, you can still see a draining effect from that. Whether you want to keep that involved or not, that's a moral and ethical calculus. Have at it. But security, absolute win on that part, because you're going to have them as full citizens. They're going to be able to involve with the police without being scared of being. So yes.
Right. So it sounds like we should just find a way of naturalizing illegal immigrants, and then the economy will be improved, and then we'd have the security stuff figured out, and then we'd have like this issue with wage depreciation in a few areas, like a much more minor manner than what we currently have. So it'd be an actual improvement on that front, and everything would be resolved.
Or we could just annex everything down to Panama. No.
That'll work. I'd be almost okay with that too.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
If we bring back manifest, I think it's gonna happen. But yeah, so
luckily Trump will be in office in a couple years, and he'll build the wall.
Oh God, no! Stop!
Okay.
Stop!
So, do we want to go back to how racist that video was, and or?
I don't think we're gonna get anywhere on that one. Yeah, I would love to do it, but I think we've all lined out our points. It sucks. Prime, where did you want to take where did you think the conversation was going to go after that point?
Definitely not this. Hold on. Sword Fishy, thank you for gifting 5 hot tier 1 gift subs to the channel. It's actually a huge help. Thank you for your first investment in this community too. It means a lot. Thank you, Sword Fishy, for being so kind, for being generous to this channel. Welcome. Okay.
Prime,
yeah.
I wanna
go ahead. Sorry, Lorenzo.
I want to quickly extend an olive branch. Okay.
Sure.
I love you, Prime. Okay. And I understand what you're saying. I think dog whistles are an actual active problem in the U.S. and all discourse. Okay, it's incredibly bad. He may have he may have been racist and stuff like that, and that's why he made those attacks. However, I can't prove it, so I feel uncomfortable giving him that label. But if you want to give him that label, that's totally fine. That's all right. Okay. That's like my last final point.
Yeah, you guys throw around these labels pretty willy-nilly anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I love you, Doobie. But to answer your question, and we'll take it to the open soon enough, because we didn't get to where I thought we were going to go. Well, it was in the question, right? Like, where is the line between parody and threat, right? Because I think the same message, you could have taken an anime clip and had a message about like how you're gonna dunk on. Like you could have literally had like from like a basketball anime, right? And you could have literally been like Paul Gosar, right? Like the star of the show, the MC, jumping up, slam dunking, right, on AOC, right, and like his like crotch hitting her face. Oh, actually, maybe not that part, but like maybe not that part, but like but you get what I mean, right? Like she's like flailing, trying to stop him, but he can't because Gosar's just too amazing, right? That's funny. That's a lot of fun. Something we can engage with, right? It gets the point across that you have a problem with these individuals, right? And that you are going to defeat them in the battlefield of ideas, like that. So that's what I really want to explore. That's what that limit is. Oh, give me 1 second though. Sophia, thank you for gifting 5 hot tier 1 gifts up to the channel. Really a huge help. Thank you. You've been really kind to this community. I got to shout you out in particular. Thank you, Sophia. Followed by Def Nut. Who could that be? I don't know. Anyway, gifting 5 hot tier 1 gift subs as well. Love to see it. Hey everyone, we're in a level 3 hype train. Please hop out the hype train, sub to the channel, gift bits, gift subs. We've been enjoying this content I've been giving you so far. Help out this hype train. We have 4.5 minutes left on the clock. 4.5 minutes on the clock. 9% done. 91% left. Can we get to a level 4 hype train? It's all up to you. Sub to the channel. Gift bits. Gift subs. If you have a resub, right? A resub ready to pop. Want to throw out that message? Please do that. That helps the hype train as well. Help us out. We can't do this without you. It's up to you. That powers this community. It's how I'm able to do this night after night, provide you with this content, and also hit that follow button if you haven't done so yet either. Okay. I apologize. Someone asked me something and I lost it.
Well, their question was boring. So did you guys ever see the
wait, I was actually about to get into it.
No, wait, hold on. There was a meme. Fuck, that was going on forever ago, right? About like Trump, at one of his rallies, he hears something behind him, he turns around really quickly, and it's Bernie Sanders sitting there, and he like zaps Bernie with his laser eyes. Have you guys ever seen that meme?
Yeah.
And like Bernie like floats away like all burned to a crisp and shit. Do you guys think that's too far, like something like that? Because I'm trying to figure out where the line is for me, right? I know that I felt uncomfortable when I saw the Attack on Titan thing, when he cut into the Titan's neck and blood came out and shit like that. I thought that was really bad. But I thought that the Trump and Bernie meme was really fucking funny, right? Trump having laser eyes and burning Bernie with his his fucking laser eyes, and Bernie like floats away all burnt up. That looked really funny to me. And I know I can't pinpoint the exact meme right now, but I know I've seen memes with Trump getting blasted, like what I said earlier, where he gets punched through the moon. Yeah, I've seen that shit before, and I thought that was really fucking funny too. I don't think that anybody's advocating for someone to actually Kamehameha wave Trump, right? But I don't know if those are over the line for me. Maybe it was the appearance of like blood, right? That pushed it over the line for me.
I mean,
but I'm not really sure.
I saw the Trump Death Note one, and like I laughed at first, and then I was like, oh, I shouldn't laugh at this, right? Like it was like one of those things where I was like, okay, I shouldn't think this is funny because it's actually really bad. Like
I don't see anything bad about like
Death Note. I mean, you know what that happened in Death Note, right? You write someone's name.
Yeah, you write that. So they wrote Trump's name in the book, right?
Real, though, so it's not a problem. Like, and the laser eyes are like fake as fuck. Where it's like swords are real, Titans look like humans.
I mean, you're saying, hey, I wish this guy was dead, which is bad.
Doobie, I can reach out with you on this one because I actually had to a similar level, like the exact same experience. Is that for me, what I usually find funny is absurdity. And one, I didn't care for Attack on Titan as an anime, so kill me later. But on the other side, I know, right?
I didn't like it either, by the way.
On the other side of that,
what the fuck?
I know, right?
Anyways, what a bad take.
Anyway, so getting back to the relevant political conversation here is that what I'm saying with you, Doobie, is that when it came to the Attack on Titan scene, it was absurd, but it wasn't like, I don't know how to put this. It was absurd, but it wasn't absurd enough to be funny. It was just kind of ridiculous. Where like Trump laser eyes memes, all those, they are funny to me because they're absolutely ridiculous. Oh, dude's gonna shoot laser beams out of his eyes. It's just asinine. There's my litmus test is there. So,
I was just gonna say, how about the channel? We have less than a minute left, and the hype train. Hop on the channel, sub, gift bits, gift subs, all of that helps out. We're not almost there, but help us out if you can. That's how we power this community. Thank you if you're enjoying this content. Sub to the channel, gift bits or gift subs, all of it. It's helpful. This is how we do this. Thank you so much. Less than a minute left. Okay, and. Yeah, I guess you're getting to something important here, I think, in terms of like whether Sophia, well, for 1 second, sorry. Sophia, thank you for the 20 subs. Holy crap, Sophia, you've been amazing. You've been amazing. I don't know how many you've gifted so far, but it's quite a bit. It's like, and you know what? I don't know if it's like 100 because 100 is when we make someone VIP. But I'm just gonna assume. We're just gonna assume. So we're just gonna make you a VIP right now, Sophia. Seriously, you've been so kind to this community. It means a lot. So Sophia, VIP easily. Thank you so much, Sophia. Because of her incredible kindness to this community, we're at level 4 hype train, 76% done. 24% left. Can we get to a level 5 hype train? 4.5 minutes left on the clock. Again, subs to the channel, only $5 to do so. You'll get our emails as well. Exclamation emails in chat. You'll also get ad-free viewing, play ads during the open walk-on panel that's becoming right after this. Right after this conversation, we'll have more content. We always have more content for you in the open walk-on panel. If you want to avoid those ads, be so kind as to invest in this community, right? You can use your Amazon Prime /Prime Gaming. If you're out there, got Amazon Prime, use that 1 free sub per month on this channel. It helps us out so much, okay? You can gift bits, right? Gifting bits help us out a ton, or gifting subs like Sophia has been so generous as to do, right? Help us out. We're almost there to level 5 hype train. We're getting close. So subs to the channel, gift bits, gift subs, help us get over the edge to level 5 hype train. Thank you all for the people, the kindness from these individuals. Thank you. All right, sorry, I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but money came in, so fuck you.
Okay, Prime the Capitalist confirmed. Let's go.
You love to see it. You really do.
Right. So apparently, like, actually hit a nerve with like where that line was for you, Prime. So
I'm sorry. Did what was it? I apologize.
I was talking about like what? Yeah, like for me, I find absurdity funny, but there's a certain level of absurdity where I'm just like, that's not absurd enough. That's just kind of lame. Versus like, oh my god, are you serious right now? So like for me, that's kind of the litmus test that I can go in with Doobie on, is that I kind of had the exact same response in that regard. So you wanted to add on to that, and I was trying to remind you of whatever the hell you were going to say.
Yeah. So I think you were touching on something very important, interesting, right? Talking about like the Kamehameha wave, right? And I think this is a disconnect that we were having with Doobie, and maybe with Lorenzo, I'm not sure, but specifically with Doobie, because he pointed this out. Is that like, well, no one's specifically advocating for someone to use a Kamehameha wave. Yes, obviously. But sure, great, whatever. And I think that we can understand. Not that I'm necessarily excusing like that imagery, right? I won't do that yet. But like, I think we can understand there's a difference between like comedic comedy, right? Something that's outlandish. Comedic violence, excuse me, and like more gory violence, I'll say, right? Because the Attack on Titan thing wasn't necessarily like realistic, right? Like there are no Titans, there is no, you're not going to sever their heads with like using the 3D maneuvering gear, right? Like it's not a thing. But like it was violent, right? It was explicit. So I think there's a difference there, right? Between and Madeline touched on this previously, right? On what like is actually possible and what's not. Now, am I saying that could be no consequences by creating an environment where people think that Trump is worthy, like in the Kamehameha thing, right? Trump is worthy of that kind of attention, that kind of negative attention, that kind of essentially violent attention. Like, is there no consequence for that? No, I think there is. There's less than a minute left. Let's see if we can get to a level 5 hype train. Help us out. Sophia's been so kind. Subs to the channel, gift bits or gift subs. Help us get over the edge. We're almost there. Level 5 hype train helps out a ton. So I keep doing this. Please help us out. I think you can say that it like poisons the environment. I think part of this was what Destiny's point was, like, is that when dealing with Kyle Rittenhouse, saying that like the memes that were shared about him, right? Like what needs to be done with this kid, right? That it's creating an environment that is dangerous for him. So like now that he's out in the world, right? He's not in police custody. Well, I guess he wasn't before, right? Oh, thank you, Big Kumba, for 5 hot tier 1 gift subs at the last second. Oh my god, you're amazing. Thank you for your investment. You've been so kind, Big Kumba. Putting us a little 5 hype train. Thank you so much. Get to it in a second. I think fuck, what was the last thing I said? Oh yeah, Cal Rittenhouse. Cal Rittenhouse making that environment that this world is a more dangerous world overall for Cal Rittenhouse specifically because of the rhetoric, right? Coming from the left, that was aimed at him, right? Those memes, the violence and all of that. So I think that's fair. And I'll just say one more thing. Level 5 hype train, thank you so much for the kindness. We had 9% again of level 5 of a hype train, right? Level 5 hype train almost there to a maximum hype train. 91% left, right? 4 minutes on the clock. Can we get to a maximum hype train, right? Sub channel, gift bits, gift subs. If you appreciate this content, if you appreciate what we've been doing here, right? This back and forth, if you like this dialogue, if you like what we're building, help us out. I can't power this thing without you. I can't do this thing 6 nights a week. Yes, 6 nights a week. Again and again, and never miss a day if I don't have individuals like you out there who appreciate this content, who invest in this content. So sub to the channel, gift bits, gift subs, resub, continuous sub if you've been so lucky to get a sub from one of our kind gifters. Help us out so we can keep this going. But 9% done, 91% left, 3.5 minutes on the clock. Help us get to a maximum hype train. Apologize. All right, so you guys can take what I said and run with it. You're muted, Pan, if you're talking to us. Or are you talking to your channel?
I was talking to the people on stream, but
okay.
Fuck the people on your stream.
Yeah.
Okay,
Say what you're saying to
yeah,
them,
Prime,
Tom.
I totally go with what you're saying. Because to me that was like the tipping point, right? Where they had like the blood. And I think the overall tone of the violence, right, was different than like a Dragon Ball Z Kamehameha wave or Trump shooting lasers at Bernie Sanders, right? It's just that the tone is entirely different. And when you have blood like spurting out of a Titan's neck, like it looks really, it just crosses the line into something that makes me uncomfortable. And I think that kind of like allowing that sort of like that sort of, I guess you'd call it rhetoric, or this kind of like expression, right? Really does create like oh yeah, this is kind of what Destiny was saying, where it creates like an environment where it feels like it's hopeless and the only answer is violence, right? And I think you start crossing into that territory when you have shit like that. So yeah, I think I agree with you.
No, I mean I super agree with that. Like the idea that Mos Maiorum is like being like taken away from us like little by little, right? Like we've got like the status quo of like what is acceptable debate, what's the acceptable line to cross, and we're becoming like progressively more desensitized to violence, like active violence between us. Like the case that just happened is like, I think, and I hope I'm completely wrong here, but I think it's like the start of many cases that are going to be very similar. And I'm very troubled by this because we're going to get to a point where this is not going to be sensationalized. This is not going to be, it's just going to be, we're just going to be desensitized and we'll be expecting this sort of political violence to be a regular thing. That's like what my biggest fear is.
Lorenzo? Yeah. And we have less than 90 seconds left on the clock. Help us get to a maximum hype train. If you could, be so kind. Help us out. Subs to the channel, gift bits, gift subs. All that helps us out so much. Thank you. Please, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, saying something is a problem, so saying like immigration is an issue, isn't like necessarily like stochastic terrorism, because as long as you're operating within the system and you can like vote and shit like that, that's not an issue. When you start telling people that the only way to achieve or to protect yourself, the only way to stop these brown people from entering our country is to operate from outside of the system and like violence and shit like that, that's where stochastic terrorism comes into play. So like saying like, for example, the system is broken, the system is dead, there's no way we're gonna fix these issues from within the system. We have to go from without. We have to like militias have to hit the streets and shit like that. That's where it starts getting into like stochastic terrorism.
I just wanted to encourage everybody to get their Prime loot box. You can get your Prime loot box here by donating to the hype train.
Ty, thank you for gifting a sub, helping out the hype train, putting it at 30%. We have seconds left on the clock. Can we get to a maximum hype train, or even close? So wherever you can to help us out, like throwing that in the hype train, it goes very far. So thank you, Tyberius, for. Oh, and Sophia again. What, Sophia? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my God! With another 10 subs, Sophia, you're being too kind. You're being too kind. Thank you. That's it for the hype train. But Sophia, you powered that. 30 subs, unbelievable. Thank you, Sophia. Have to give you specific thanks for that. That's it's too much. Thank you so much, Sophia. This is how I'm able to do this for people like you who value this content. I'm very glad that you're so generous and help out this community. All right. Apologies again. I keep interrupting you, but money. So
I don't blame you for a second. So I think the big line is kind of like, what is the overall takeaway message from the piece? A lot of cases, and I think absurdity helps us discern the takeaway message from the piece. I think that's kind of what Tyberius was getting at earlier. Obviously, if Trump is using his laser eyes to melt Bernie Sanders, the takeaway from that piece isn't going to be, hey, I want to kill Bernie Sanders, right? The takeaway message of that is Trump's going to destroy Bernie Sanders' epic libtard own type thing. Now, I think when you get more absurd, it becomes more and more clear that you're not actually advocating violence. You're memeing around. But when it gets kind of like an uncanny valley, when it gets too close to actual, violence and stuff, I think at that point people are like, wait a minute, what is the takeaway message? Maybe the takeaway message is violence. It's not as clear as these absurd, scenarios where people have superpowers and stuff. So I think that's the main difference. And I think that, I guess I think that's what the main difference is.
So it also depends, though, right? Let's say someone uses an absurd superpower. Like, let's go back to the Kamehameha wave, right? So Kamehameha wave incoming.
What's the Kamehameha wave?
Oh, you're so lame, Pan.
Oh my God, no!
I got this. So you stand back here like this, right? You take your two hands, right? You put them together like this, and then you pull it back, and you put all your ki into the two hands. And then you start screaming, "Ka!" Okay, I'm not gonna do the whole thing.
You just shoot the laser beam.
You shoot a fucking laser beam. That's it.
Okay, you shoot a laser beam.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. You shoot a laser beam.
It's like a beam of toxic masculinity.
Put the YouTube video in chat, you can see what a Kamehameha wave is.
That's fucking fantastic.
If the Kamehameha wave hits Trump, right? And it's just, that's the end of the video, it's fine. So like the video I linked, there's no actual like thing that happens to Trump. But at a certain point, if like the artist or the person who did it started like, intentionally disfiguring Trump, like demonstrating like trauma as a result of the impact, then you can start getting into, wait, maybe this is less and less okay. Like the actual demonstration of trauma somehow is like the problem. Like if it went like,
you mean when cells started breaking up, like that would be,
yeah, like, right, but they didn't actually include that, and like they didn't break up Trump, and they didn't break up Trump's face as he gets like vaporized or anything. They just had Trump looking very, very shocked at them in the video, and that was it. And that seemed like
I feel like it would be okay though if it's like what happens when you get hit by the wave is like they start disintegrating and their face does the thing where they. I don't know exactly how you described it, but if that's what the
right? But
yeah,
like,
if that's the normal case, well, I don't
like
see why that's a problem.
Like we're talking about like blood, bones, all that stuff.
Like, with like blood and bones and stuff. I mean, obviously, the more and more graphic. Yeah, right. Well, I mean, the closer it gets to like how we see violence in the real world, obviously, the easier it is going to be to interpret it as that, right? And in the real world, when someone gets hurt, they bleed, or maybe you see bones and stuff. So I think that could potentially be also a big part of it. I think it's just like. Can we? How closely does this relate to the real world? I think that's probably the biggest factor in determining whether or not we think it's an actual call to violence or if it's more symbolic. Because in order for something to be symbolic, well, it can't be something that's directly that we directly experience, because then it wouldn't be a symbol.
I agree.
Wait, did we actually end up on a point of agreement at the end of this? After all that fiery nonsense at the beginning?
I think we were agreeing. We were agreeing at the beginning. We just went off on slight tangents. But why did people have problems with a? Well, I know the answer to this, but why do people have problems with AOC being killed, but not Biden at the end? Even though we don't see the killing itself.
I mean, that might be everything to do with it, is that you don't see Joe Biden getting killed by,
Yeah, that for me that is it. Yeah.
I mean,
so if you just swapped AOC's head and Biden's head, right, and he got the sword or whatever, I definitely have a problem with that.
I mean, that's like really bad, right? That's like suggesting that we're gonna take out the.
Yeah, so I feel like there's the answer.
In the context of January 6th, in the context of hang Mike Pence, right? In the context of all that, of actual violence has been enacted, I mean, that matters. The environment matters. that these things
So I
happen.
don't. Yes, so I don't feel like the threat of violence is necessarily the issue. It's us seeing the violence being carried out.
Sorry,
Yeah.
can you say that again?
No, wait, hold on.
No, actually, I'll worry about this one. Look,
Because we know what's about to happen with Biden. We know he's about to get killed, right? You see you see him like in the air, and,
Right.
like Biden's face right below him.
He's
Am I
talking about
wrong?
he's talking about the video.
Video?
Right? So
Yeah.
So in the video,
okay,
you don't see Biden get attacked, right? So we're more okay with that. But you see AOC get attacked, and that's
Okay.
what we're not okay with that. That's all he's saying.
Making sure I'm not making shit up. Sorry.
I mean, I think that like the idea that Biden was attacked is probably missed on some level. Like I didn't actually I saw it and I didn't see Biden getting attacked. But I guess that would make
What?
sense, 'cause-
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean-
he's the main bad guy at the end. He's the he's the colossal titan.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
I don't know
get
how
it.
important that is, but he's colossal. He's bigger than the other one.
No, I get
Ken,
that.
how the
It's
fuck
just,
do you know
like, I
AOC,
completely-
but you don't know Dragon Ball?
I don't, but someone in my chat told me they were colossal titans.
Oh, I was about to say.
Which is bigger than a regular titan. I was confused. I was so
Oh
confused.
my
I was
God.
like, wait, I
And
thought he was
actually-
when they said colossal titan. I thought they were talking about AOC.
That's the
'Cause,
name.
Like she looked pretty. She looked
Actually,
pretty
Biden.
massive,
Okay.
like in that. But
And
apparently
did
they
you haven't
apparently they
watched one
become bigger.
episode?
They become bigger
Uh-huh.
than.
the Titans don't become
Thank-
bigger.
Thank you.
Yeah,
There's
they
different
become
Titans.
bigger as they're exposed to the sun or something.
Okay, well,
So Pen,
what universe do I live in right now?
Yeah, Pan.
Hey, I've watched an anime before. I've watched.
Pen,
Oh,
Pen,
anime,
Pen,
it's
I actually, I
some
totally
fucking stupid
identify
shit.
with you, right? Because I'm totally relating with you right now, Pen. So I'm also allergic to weeb shit, but I just finished. I just finished my first season of an anime. And it was really fucking good. It's called Arcane. It's on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I saw it. It was so
It's
good.
not an
It was
anime.
so good.
It's so fucking
Fuck
good.
off. That's not an anime.
Oh, it was so good though. He was
I am so.
He's so
the ending.
triggering.
Have you seen the ending yet, Doobie?
Yeah, I just finished it. It was so fucking good.
Oh my god!
That
I
they
mean,
were-
we won't
that
talk about
they
it
were
because
did so well.
spoilers, but like,
Dude,
yeah.
I hate your take sometimes, but goddamn, you can meme. Oh my god.
God. He's so triggering. He's so triggering. Like,
What do you
Is it 'cause
expect
he's
from a
Me-
Hydra agent? Come
Prime,
on.
Prime, why the fuck are you being racist? You're just attacking him because he's Mexican.
oh.
True.
Oh
Wait,
my
I'm not
God.
Mexican. Fuck you.
That was a double. That was a fucking shot. I got both of you there.
Okay.
You want to wrap this up?
Yeah.
By the way, I put the link to the screen. I put the screenshot in the group chat.
Yeah,
of
I saw
Biden
that.
getting-
That definitely looks like him being about to be attacked. It's true.